Our experts are Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfull. Welcome again to you guys. I'm keen to know, you were both there last week for the derby. What impressed you most for the Swans in that game against the Giants?
No, I thought it was their forwards that went to work really early. We probably all identified that the GWS Giants back line was going really well. They were defending exceptionally well as a unit, and I thought they picked them apart. They were able to win the contest in the air. Papley got to work on the ground along with Heaney, but their tools really stood up, and that'll be interesting to see if they can do that again today. Challenge for the Gold Coast Suns will be, who are they going to send to Errol? They have to put a cooler on him. They have to today. He's been involved in everything, and last week he kicked two of the best goals you'll ever see. He starts their ball movement. He gets them when they're in trouble. He finds a free target through the middle of the ground. He's a huge runner. He's a massive runner. He's as good as you'll see, and he's two-way. He's two-way, and they're the hardest ones, but they're going to have to put a cooler on him today, for sure.
100%. Well, we talked about it last week, and it didn't look like anyone went to him, so it has to be done. He was so damaging last week, and a midfielder that gets forward and kicks goals, you have to pay them some close attention. But for me, it was the Swan system. They worked really hard defensively, clogged up that Giants forward line, and then the way they moved the ball on the other end was quite spectacular. They got on the outside, they moved it quickly, and then they gave those key position players space, and they isolated the Giants defenders so they couldn't chop them out. So gave those tall forwards the opportunities to be able to take marks and kick goals.
The Gold Coast Suns defensively concede the second most inside 50, so they give you opportunities, you just got to take them.
Yeah, they do, exactly right. I think, and that's we spoke to Dean Cox, earlier about. They will go by foot. They don't like to handball too much. They will mark the ball and they won't play on. They'll go back and they'll utilise their feet and they'll hit the corridor. Then their runners come into play. So Swans' defence really important today. And I asked that question about Errol, going back. Is it Miller? Because Miller steps out of centre bounce, if that's the case, because Errol's doing a lot of damage on the wing. Or will he take him after the bounce, sort of do the handover, the switch really quickly and go, okay, I'll look after you because he plays like a midfielder? That's the thing for me. Are they prepared to step him out of CB and put him on the wing, or keep him out of stoppage and keep him quiet?
We're watching the centre bounce drill they did a moment ago, the Suns. There was Hollins in there, Flanders, Anderson. There was no Touk Miller.
There you go.
So perhaps.
Warm-ups are massive, People don't realise it. You've got to watch the warm-ups really closely. You'll get something.
Well, the cricket scribes always do before a test match. Whoever's marking the runner, he's playing, and that's the way to tell which way the 11's shaping up. So maybe we are seeing that from the Suns, and Touk Miller runs with Errol Goulden. He just has to behave himself a little bit better than he did against the Lions and Dane Zorko.
Not to go back too far with that, Joel, what did you make of the Touk Miller incident, the way it all sort of came out afterwards? It wasn't immediately cited. Then, of course, it all kind of happened later on once there was a mention on air on a radio interview.
I was 50-50 because I don't think the way it played out was necessarily the way that it should have happened. But I agree with Zorko in the fact that I think once you've tackled a player, you know where your hands are and you know what's happening. So anything that happened after that, there was a little bit of intent there. So if that's what they thought would happen, then I think the punishment was appropriate. But the way that it played out, I don't think was ideal for anyone involved, really.
He's back in for the Gold Coast Suns, of course, their co-captain, as is Sam Day for his 150th game. It's only his third game for the year. He's in for Ben King, and that's the thing as well, Spike, as to whether he can have the same impact of a Ben King, who was out of form a few weeks ago, has come back into some form, Ben King, but of course misses this week with a knee injury.
Yeah, he was out of form against the Giants. He had a really tough day a couple of weeks ago, but he fought back, which is great. But yeah, can Sam provide that contest? You'd like to think when he was up and going before he was injured, he's a presence. He leads at the footy, he competes. So you'd like to think he can do that today.
The other thing as well is their forward pressure isn't good enough for the Gold Coast Suns. They're ranked third last for scores from intercept possessions in the forward half, which for a side with good, small, medium-sized forwards is not where you want it to be.
No, that's right, and that's the modern game. We know that you want to play a front half game as much as you possibly can. Your smalls have to go to work. Now, they mightn't have the appropriate players right now to be able to do that, and that's the thing that they're going to have to do today. They're going to have to pressure Jake Lloyd and these type of players that are in their back half that can move their footy. Jake Lloyd was outstanding last week. He had 27 possessions, went at about 90% by foot, so he sets up a lot of their play.
Well, what that says is that the structure behind the ball is not quite right, is it? Their defensive structure is not working. They're not pushing forward into that forward 50 and creating enough turnovers there. So most of those problems kind of come from that situation.
I'm keen to see which Swans key forward stands up. I think that's an exciting part of going to the footy as a Swans fan now. So much attention was on Buddy for so long, but Now they're not sure who it's going to be. Is it Amadi's day? Is it McDonald's day? Is it McLean's day? And Collins and Ballard are two very good key defenders. Collins second in the comp for spoils. Ballard's third in the AFL for intercept marks. So it won't be easy for them, but one of them might stand up and kick a bag, but you don't know who it's going to be. And I guess, is there a level of awareness when you're out on the ground, do you think, between them as to be wary of whose day it might be and then maybe act as a decoy and play second fiddle?
Well, I think so, and I think that's what they did well last week when they isolated the key tools and gave McLean a one-on-one deep and really let him go to work. But for me, I think it's McDonald. I really like the way he moves. I think he's dangerous at ground level as well, and he can take a mark on the lead. So he's got a few different assets there to kick a goal, and for whatever reason, he pops up when Buddy's not in that forward line as well. So looking forward to see him today.
I think Papley has a big day today. I know he's not the key, but that's where they struggle, the Suns, when the ball hits the ground. Papley and Heaney are these. It's a great, and Hayward is the other one. It's the opportunity for them. I think they'll be okay in the air, the Suns. It's when it hits the ground deep in their back half is where I think the chaos will be. May just creep into the game today, so I'm looking forward to watching the small forwards of the Swans. Tom Papley spending more time as a centre bounce mid as well. Didn't see him out there marking the run up though, did you, Garby? He wasn't out there part of the warm up doing the CB work, so we'll see how that goes today as far as the Swans midfield is concerned. Just to recap the changes, so for the Swans, in comes Matt Roberts and Dylan Stevens, who was last week's sub. He joins the 22. Out goes Braden Campbell, suspended. Ryan Clark omitted, but he is the sub this week. And for the Gold Coast Suns, it's Day in for King, and Tuke Miller back from suspension, replacing Will Powell, who's out with the ankle. And James Cheetahs, just as he was last week in their loss to Adelaide, is the Gold Coast Suns sub this week as well. The opening bounce here is just moments away. Last time these sides met was round 1, season opener. Swans won that by 49 points. Chad Warner had 30. Tuke Miller had 29, and goals were shared around for the Swans. McDonald, Franklin and Cunningham each kicked a couple, as well as Papley as well. So for what it's worth, we mentioned the recent times these sides have met, and the Suns have won a few good games here at the SCG as well. I recall last year when Stuart Dew was under the pump, and he was under the pump for the past couple of years at the Gold Coast Suns, but came here for I think it was a Swans reunion, premiership reunion, and they won that weekend, which was a bit of a shock. And they have been a nuisance here for the Sydney Swans in certain games. And to be fair, this game is so important for the Swans to press their claims for September action. The Gold Coast Suns recognise that and pull off the upset here today. Give us your final few thoughts, Mark McVeigh, Joel Patfull, as to where this game is won and lost on this beautiful sunny Saturday afternoon. Well, the coach in me says, I like watching the first 8 minutes of a game and seeing what you're going to get. And I think we'll be able to know with the Gold Coast Suns exactly that. Have they turned up here in the right frame of mind to really challenge a really good team? And are they prepared to go the distance in the contest, which you know you're going to get with the Swans? So I'm really looking forward to the first 8 minutes to see what they present with. And the Swans, I mean, it's actually quite a warm day out there. The conditions are perfect. There's a lot going on outside the SCG. They're starting to come in now. They're getting good numbers. They'd be thinking we need to take this opportunity as much as we possibly can. We're playing a team that is a little bit all at sea in regards to coaching, what's going to happen next year, players staying or leaving. We're probably not going to, well, they're not going to play finals. We need to be professional in our approach today and get the win.
Yeah, they'd be ready to go, the Swans, today. I mean, today's the game that they can't drop this game if they want to play finals. So I think Dean Cox said it best when he said contest is their focus for the game. And like he said, Spike, from the opening bounce, I think you'll see that from the Swans today. They'll crack in, get the ball moving forward, give those key tools some really good looks, and it's perfect conditions for footy today, so no excuses.
Toss won by Jared Witts, and the Gold Coast Suns will kick to the Randwick or Southern end to start here at the SCG for the first of your Saturday games. We'll keep you across North Melbourne v Essendon at Docklands as well. As to conditions here at the SCG, Declan Byrne is downstairs for us. Declan. No, he's not. We've lost him for a second. Sorry, Deck. Back to you very shortly if we can. But the opening bounce here is just seconds away. It's a good crowd sort of following in. It was a bit slow to start. As I say, massive day for sport. We'll have plenty of, I'm sure, going to watch the Matildas on various big screens and live sites around the place. There'll be one here at the SCG as well, which is just extraordinary seeing, I guess, this code work hand in hand. Well, Luke Parker's just manhandled Ainsworth down there, Ben Ainsworth.
You don't see that too often these days when the teams run past each other.
It's 30 seconds away from the opening bounce. It's not like it's sort of right at the first stoppage, but yes.
If you just look out in the wing, you can see on the far wing out there what can everyone see. You got him?
Tuke Miller on Errol Goulden.
The squirrels got him.
Well, one of his best games was against Lachie Neale a couple of weeks ago, Tuke Miller, in the Q Clash. He was best of field that day. Can he mask Errol Goulden here? It's Grandstand AFL at the SCG. Here's Daniel Garb.
We'll watch that contest. Big afternoon for Tom Hickey up against Jared Witts, who is number one in the competition for hitouts to advantage. Hickey back into the side last week, did well. Witts wins it clearly, but only as far as Luke Parker. The handball to Papley for the first clearance for the Swans. Ball in dispute in the middle of the ground, and Matt Rowell is tackled well by Callum Mills, the Swans co-captain. The ball up just inside the centre square, and there's a bit of feeling out there. A lot of push and shove early in this game. Witts and Hickey at it again. Rowbottom's tackled by Brandon Ellis, and we'll have a ball up in the exact same position.
Up it goes on the outer wing. Tapped down by Witts. Trying to get there first. Roses into the back of him. Bring it away quickly here, the Gold Coast Suns, as Atkins goes forward of halfway. It's marked at centre half forward by Jack Lukosius. 45 out directly in front.
Jolie, you can see there, obviously the Suns are worried about their contest. They're sending up a forward early to support their contest because they know the Swans are so good at it.
Jack Lukosius, who's turned 23 during the week, kicked a couple of goals last week against the Crows. The high draft pick from a few years ago. In good form this year as well. Second in their goal kicking behind Ben King. On the approach, connects from 55. It's got the carry. It's straight as well. And the Suns are on the board first. One straight 6 Gold Coast. The Swans are yet to score for 90 seconds on this Saturday afternoon at the SCG on Grandstand AFL.
Well, he's a beautiful kick, isn't he? He backed himself in from 50 and never looked at pass enough. We talked about a bit of feeling early on. You can guarantee both coaches would have mentioned the fact that this horse would have said that the Swans have been beaten the last few times by the Suns, and then obviously the Suns would have talked about the fact that they've got the measure of the Swans the last few weeks as well. So, bit of feeling out there.
Jack Lukosius, 37 goals for the season. The inside 50 came from Rory Atkins. Lukosius with the mark and a booming kick from outside 50. So the Suns with the first goal here at the SCG. 1 straight 6. Sydney yet to really move the ball forward of centre with any conviction. Witts and Hickey at it again. Witts wins it down, but Papley with another clearance. Now they go inside 50, the Swans. Bouncing ball picked up by McPherson. Has Jai Farah in support. Heaney's chasing him, but Farah's quick enough. Gets away, kicks it out to the wing. Goulden's chasing. He's broken away from Tuke Miller. And insufficient intent is the call from the umpire. The free kick to the Swans, and Jake Lloyd outer side. Plays on. The kick to half forward. Heaney crashes the pack. Ran into Atkins, who's slow to get to his feet. The kick out from halfback from the Suns. Ball in dispute on the wing. Picked up by Mills. Handball is blocked by Rowell, who is burrowing away and wins it back. Then lost the handle. At the second attempt, he gets it to McPherson. His handball is astray, though. Picked up by Warner. Handball inside 50. Papley's tackled. Gets the handball to Rowbottom, though. Squeezes a kick to the pocket. And Heaney has marked it. And he'll kick from 20 out, slightly to the right.
It's through hard work, good pressure by the Suns, but this is the problem they're going to have with Heaney and Papley. Papley's involved in that chain. Going into this game, I felt like Haywood, Papley, and Heaney are going to have a big day today if they're allowed to, more so than the key forward. So, looking forward to the challenge.
10 goals in his last 5 games. Isaac Heaney back into some form, back end of the season. Should kick this one, and does. Slots it from a pretty easy place inside 50. So Sydney respond. They are 1 straight 6. Gold Coast 1 straight 6 as well. Early stages of the first term. Let's get down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, you've got to remember that it's winter here in Sydney. Beautiful conditions. So as you said, it's sunny, it's 20 degrees, no wind. It's going to be a beautiful day for footy down here, and we're back working, so that's good.
Good stuff, Deck. Swans working as well. Immediate reply. 1 straight 6 apiece.
What I really loved about that, Isaac Heaney, you called it, went up in that contest, hurt Atkins, didn't he? Really charged through the ball, got back to forward line really hard and was able to mark the footy. So good start from Isaac.
They start back in the middle. Tom Hickey for his 4th club against his 1st club. Started life as a Gold Coast Sun. Stints with St Kilda, West Coast, There he is in the red and white. Competes with Witts. Wins it down. Bounced away from Anderson. Parker wins the clearance. Quick hand pass to Robert, who sends it forward towards half forward. Swatted away by Farah. Out the back. Amadi clears a path from the clean. Hand pass. Warner gets away from McPherson. Run down. Great chase from Farah. Rewarded advantage paid as well here from umpire Lenny T, but she realises that the Gold Coast weren't quite positioned, so we'll have it from fullback again. Back to that tackler in Jai Farah. The Paddington end. A short kick to Flanders. 27 touches last week for Flanders. Lays it off by hand here. They work it off half back, and it's a nice kick to Jared Witts.
This is where they want to get to corridor, fat part of the ground. If they can use it, they'll take it.
Atkins again. The way he kicked that Witts. Witts comes up the line now, members side. Sam Day wins it down here only as far as Fox. Out in front of Francis for the Swans. Tracks back towards half back for Lloyd, who's supposed to out of bounds on the full. Gold Coast ball from right half forward. Scores level, 1 straight 6 apiece.
The pressure came from Holman. It affected the Lloyd kick. Ainsworth goes short to Lukosius, who is 55 out. Kicked the opening goal for the Suns. He'll set this up to a dangerous spot. Looks for a leading option and finds one in Casbolt, the veteran, who is going to agree to a new 1-year deal at the Suns after hitting some good form in the last few weeks. Got a break on Francis and marked overhead. He'll kick from 25 out, slightly to the right.
Well, it's an elite kick there by Lukosius. There was every single Swans player was in front of him inside 50, and to pick out a key target like that is elite.
10 goals in his last 5 games. Levi Casbolt averaging 2 a game. This is his issue. It's set shot kicking, and he should have converted that one. He hooked it slightly. It hit the post, and it's over behind. So the Suns 1-1-7, the Swans 1 straight 6.
Blakey kicks out. Short ball to Cunningham. Lobs the hand pass back to Blakey in his 99th AFL game. The Lizard. That's going to be 50 as well, by the way, for a player encroaching. So on occasion, it's Ainsworth. Away the 50, brings Blakey to the centre circles. The Swans with a chance to go forward. Blakey's left foot kick. Down the corridor he goes. 2-on-2 through the air. Spilled down there by Ballard in defence. They pile in from all angles. The umpire will board up. No, it's a push, in fact, which will go the way of the Gold Coast Suns. The cleaners into the back of Lemons. Slope down there. Lemons for the Suns. So it's a free kick from fullback. Suns by a point here, by the way, at Docklands. North of 2 straight 12. Essendon yet to score.
It's a surprise. Big leap by Casbolt on the wing. Couldn't mark. A chance for Ellis to pick it up. He's wrapped up strongly by Lloyd. So they'll have a ball up on the wing, close to the interchange gates here at the SCG. The Suns by a point. 7.5 gone first term. Witts and Hickey run into each other. Tapped down well by Hickey to Warner. He's tackled strongly by David Swallow, and the Suns win it back. Atkins to Swallow, looping handball, looks for assistance, finds it in the form of Flanders. Ellis is next to him. Looping ball to half forward, 3-on-1 in favour of the Swans. It falls the way of Lukosius though, who then failed to put the ball on boot, picked it up, it went through the legs of Tuke Miller inside 50 for Gold Coast when he had the chance to collect. His second effort is strong. Support comes in the form of Humphrey, and eventually bodies fall on the football, but an opportunity wasted for Gold Coast and Tuke Miller.
Should have kicked the goal.
Suns by a point. Witts lays it down only as far as Warner. Hand pass to the outside. Holman there for the Suns. In his pocket picked by Papley. Kick go chopped off by McPherson. Suns go forward again. Leaping up. Up there was Sam Day. Can't fault the enthusiasm as it comes to ground now. And again, they pile in or balled up. 25 out. Round weekend at the Suns attacking end of the SCG. It's they who lead by a point. 9 gone first term.
Started nicely, Gold Coast. Challenging Sydney on their own turf early on. And here's a snap-on goal from Flanders. And they've got another one. The Suns 2-1-13. Sydney 1 straight 6. And the Swans faithful don't like it.
Well, you said you wanted to see the first 8 minutes, Spike.
Yeah, what are you saying, Joel?
Well, I'm asking you, what are your thoughts?
No, well, I think if you're sitting in the coach's box or you're a supporter of the Gold Coast Suns, you're happy. You've turned up with the right mindset. They're really good in the contest here, especially the couple of stoppages. And their forwards, Lukosius, has started sensationally well. They probably should have kicked a goal 30 seconds before that, but you'd be happy right now sitting there going, hey, they've come to play. John Longmire will be going, righto, boys, we've got a challenge on. They're ready to go.
North have the first couple against Essendon at Docklands. Get you across that. Later on, Brisbane, Adelaide, and much later on, Carlton v Melbourne, West Coast Freo. Matildas versus France in the World Cup, the quarter-final in Brisbane. Also plenty of focus on that. Up they go in the middle. One down here. Parker slaps it forward for Gordon. He was dispossessed by Miller. Suns win the clearance through Anderson. Inside 50 they go. Spoil from Blakey. Down there on Humphrey. He's had the head shaved. Goes out of bounds for a throw-in on the junction of 50 at left half forward.
Just on that, Errol Goulden, 0 disposals.
Yep.
It's amazing, isn't it? You talk about tags and players you can't tag, but sometimes a little bit of pressure is all you need.
Suns by 7 points.
Boundary throw and inside 50 for Gold Coast. Witts has front position. Strong tackle by Goulden. He'll try get into the game that way. Swallow taps it to Bailey Humphrey. Shows strength for a youngster to break free of the tackle. His kick is smothered though. Good second effort. And eventually Wicks sees the ball over the boundary line. Left half forward for Gold Coast to a 2-1-13. Sydney 1 straight 6. Sam Flanders 4 disposals early and a goal.
Umpire tosses it back in. Hickey and Witts. Now here to Miller for the Gold Coast Suns. 55 out, pops it to the hot spot now. Wants to find Dave Francis, floats across, intercepts at full back. The Swans can make their way forward again. Short kick to Warner. From that recent calf injury. Walks around Hollins. Across his body here, it's up there for Roberts. Wins it to ground. It's now swatted away. So good pressure it was down there from Dave Swallow to force it out of bounds for a throw-in. 65 around from the Gold Coast attacking goal. So a stoppage inside their forward half as well. 2-1-13 their score. The Swans are 1 straight 6. 12 gone first term.
Witts leads Hickey to the football, taps it down. It'll be another boundary thrown from the same position. So from a coaching point of view, Mark McVeigh, when they can spot the tag on Errol Goulden, does a message go out to other players? All right, you've got a chance to get off the chain now?
Yeah, I would have thought they spoke about that midweek and just going, this is what we need to do. Will he go forward, Errol, after the first quarter to release himself a little bit? Wait and see.
Another stoppage out there as it's going to play again. Warner into the back of Swallow. Both players from East Fremantle, of course, Garvey. Bright sunshine here at the SCG. Gold Coast by 7 points. Back in it comes from behind. Hickey on to Parker. He's held by Swallow. Umpire lets them play. Anderson dispossessed by Warner. Toes it forward only as far as Lloyd. From right half back, the Swans go to the outer wing. McLean goes up. Got a ball from behind from Collins. Hayward can't bring it clear. Warner does so now. Hand pass back to Hayward. It's a hot footy on the outer wing now as Hayward just tumbles a kick away towards centre half forward. Running start from Patley. He's beaten to it there by, what's his name again? Ellis, the former Tiger. Centre half back here for the Gold Coast Suns. They lead by 7 points.
Scrappy game early, but that will suit the Suns. They've got it on their terms in the early stages. They hold a 1-goal lead. Ballard finds Flanders at centre half back, who's been in excellent form over the last 2 months and started in that vein today. That's a clever kick forward as well to find Brandon Ellis in the middle of the ground, just forward of centre. He goes short to spot up Tuke Miller. The Suns, patience. Now they go inside 50 to the pocket, looking for Sam Day. Was he held by Hickey? No, from the umpire is the call. They've still got possession though, the Suns. Humphrey's handball goes backwards just outside attacking 50. Strong tackle in the end by Robbie Fox, but it is high. And it's high on Ben Ainsworth, who can put the Suns deep into attack again.
He was goalless last week, Ainsworth, despite some form in the weeks preceding that. He's a long way from home here though. Pops it high to the teeth of goal. Up in front, Day. Shark by Ellis, who slaps it onto his boot and rolls it through for a goal. And the Suns have their third. Gold Coast are out to a 13-point break, 3-1-19. The Swans are 1 straight 6, 14 gone first term. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
And the Suns defender, Sam Collins, has limped off. He's getting his left Achilles looked at. And the other thing the Suns have done is silence this crowd. It feels like there's no Suns in the crowd at all. So a couple of goals there and everyone is silent down on ground here.
I've done some games there where they are outnumbered by the visiting fans, especially Collingwood fans every so often, the Gold Coast. So I can't imagine there are plenty here at the SCG, but our team's playing all right.
Well, I reckon what's been on show from the Gold Coast Suns is their ball movement. They're pulling that little cut inside 45, which we spoke about in the pre-match. They're going to go through corridor. They're looking to go long. They're signalling to go long, but they actually are going to lower their eyes and pick you off. If you're going to roll back as a Swans defender, you have to cover it off.
Sam Collins down to the rooms with an Achilles problem. That's an issue for them. He's such an important player for Gold Coast, but they have started well. They have a 2-goal lead in the first quarter, and they've won it out of the middle again. Atkins off the back of the square with a kick towards attacking 50. Ellis with a cute one to the pocket. Blakey wins it back for the Swans. Did he carry that out of bounds before he disposed of it? He's allowed to play on. Finds Heaney on the wing. Can Sydney get some run now? Stevens has it. Close to the boundary line. Handball to Fox. Squeezes one to half forward. McAndrew comes across. And with all the grace in the world, just brings the ball down one-handed. The talented young son. And marks it at half-back.
And he sends his kick up to Bailey Humphrey. 2 young guns for the Gold Coast Suns. Humphrey plays on now. Off his left peg. High towards half forward. McCartan parks himself under it. Takes intercept mark for the Swans. 16 going first term. Gold Coast by 13 points. 3 goals to 1 early on here. McCartan's kick back to the members' wing. Up he goes. Stevens floats across, takes the mark. Shares it now with Heaney, working their way forward of halfway towards centre half forward now. Back with the flight courageously Mills. Good work from Flanders in defensive work as well. Loose ball though. McLean gets there. Pops it high inside forward. 50. Measuring it down there for Haywood. It was rode by Ballard. They got him off here for the Swans. And now Wicks off his left boot. Snaps and misses. Pulls it near side. Minor score for Sydney. 1-1-7. The Gold Coast Suns are 3-1-19. 16 and a half played first term.
Got to make the most of Collins being off the ground. They've got to get the ball inside 50 really quickly, the Swans, and take advantage of one of their key defenders being injured and get it inside 50. It looked like then that the Suns really struggled when that ball came inside 50. They're all at sea.
Lemons from the left back pocket. His kick is poor. And McLean leads Sam Day to the football and marks at right half forward for Sydney.
Got to get it in.
McLean goes short instead. To Jake Lloyd, 55 out from the Swans attacking goals. Assesses his options, Jake Lloyd, decides to go short to Ollie Florent. No closer to goal. He'll be the one to pop it up into a dangerous spot. McLean with the contest, couldn't mark. McPherson squeezes the kick away, only as far as Stevens. The handball looking for a row bottom, inside attacking 50 for Sydney. He's well tackled by David Swallow. And we'll have a ball up, you would think, although the umpire lets play go on. And the ball spills free of that contest. Matt Roberts is there, as is Matt Rao. Now we'll have a ball up. And the Suns are at it early. They are not making it easy for Sydney. They lead by 2 goals, 17 gone first term.
Up it goes, inside 50 for the Swans. Marty was beaten down there. It's Swallow who clears for the Gold Coast Suns. His kick goes only as far as Blakey in front of the bullseye. Middle of the SCG. Has options presenting. Ball to play on now. Pops it to the flank. And Ellis floats across to intercepts. And again, the Suns cut off that supply. Gold Coast by 12. Ellis kicks beyond defensive 50. Again to McAndrew. He's at right half back in front of the old grandstands.
McAndrew, pick 5 in the 2021 draft. That kick puts Rory Atkins under pressure, and Callum Mills has caught him holding the ball. So a rare mishap from Gold Coast early in this game. Callum Mills, the Swans co-captain, trying to get his team going. He'll kick it to the top of the square. Amati's the target. Tries to mark it the second attempt. Lemons gets hands on the football. He's well tackled by Wicks. We'll have a ball up in the right forward pocket for the Swans.
Just settled here a bit, the Swans. They've been able to stop those short 45s that we talked about. Force them down the line, getting repeat inside 50s.
Up it goes. Open them there for the Swans. First pair of hands. All over. Got it away to Heaney though from the pocket. Pulls it back into the corridor. Warner plunks the overhead mark. No, not 15. Played on. In fact, it was touched. Couldn't control it. Suns bring it away off half back. Ainsworth finds Witts. Settles things down here, the co-captain. Pulls it to the outer side here. This time Lukosius beaten through the air by Francis. Loose pulled out by Goulden. He's 65 out. Pops him inside 50 and Wicks takes the mark in the pocket. 35 out, tough angle, deep at right, full forward.
Errol's first touch.
You can see what he does when he gets it though.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Miller took off when the Suns had the ball. The quick turnover always hurts you.
Here comes Wicks, this time with his set shot from deep in the pocket. It's across the face. Minor score, this time opposite side of the goals. He's no goals, 2 so far. The Swans peppering away here though, 1-2-8. The Gold Coast Suns are 3-1-19. approaching time on here in the first term.
Chad Warner with 6 disposals early for Sydney. Brandon Ellis, the same number for Gold Coast. Rory Atkins gets a fair bit of the footy as well. Brings it out of the defensive goal square. Kick up to the wing. Off hands, Miller and Goulden doing battle. That is going to be an engrossing contest all afternoon long. They'll have a boundary throw in on the outer wing, but at the moment, Goulden just the 2 disposals being tagged by Touk Miller.
Miller Goulden sounds like an American beer company. 11 points as the Gold Coast lead. Back in it comes in front of the O'Reilly stand. Clean competes with Witts. Warner to Roberts, off balance, kick goes high towards right half forward, and Marty crashing the pack. Umpire says play on. Lemons was taken high by Heaney. Free kick here for Gold Coast at left half back. Fast game. Suns on early, 3 goals to 1. 11 points their lead. Lemons a short kick to the veteran Dave Swallow. Losing his footing down there was Farah. A task set for him. Miller, first pair of hands there for the Suns. He was wrapped up down there by Stevens. The umpire will ball up now, close to the corner of the square. And Gold Coast attacking, or Swans attacking half, in fact. Gold Coast defending Paddington end of the ground. 11 points their lead, Gold Coast.
There's a whistle on this play. Blood rule is the call, then Hayden McLean. So the big man in his 50th game will trudge over to the boundary line. Tom Hickey will come back on. Sam Collins already being checked in the rooms, although he is running back now to the Gold Coast bench. That is a very good sign for Gold Coast that their key defender might be okay to continue. Witts wins it clearly in the middle of the ground. Lloyd missed his punch at centre half back. Bounces free in a dangerous spot for the Suns. Bailey Humphrey gets hands to the football. Good handball from Holman to Hollands. Quick kick inside 50. And it's a high hit on Nick Blakey from Levi Casbolt as Blakey won front position. And he's got the free kick inside defensive 50.
Swinging across the goal mouth here for Cunningham, but umpire will reset him here on that free kick. So back to Blakey at fullback. 22 gone in the first term. Suns by 11. Blakey plays on now. Short kick to Lloyd. The left back pocket. The 2-time fairest and best. Drives it long beyond defensive 50. Members wing. Up they go. McAndrew big spoil. Papley right down from behind by Holman. And the umpire ball up. Declan Byrne downstairs.
Sam Collins coming back on. Looks to be running fine. So good news for the Suns.
Yeah, recent milestone man himself. 100th game recently. From Madoka. Here comes Swans and Rowbottom towards half forward. Hayward. Around it by Ballard, follows up by Hayward, gets a hand pass across here. Papley Sharks at 45 from goal. High to the right behind post. Heaney goes up, can't control it. They'll ricochet or rebound the ball through Anderson. And his kick almost picked off by Goulden. Swans have numbers. Fox and Goulden at right half forward. Fox a bit clear, goes inside 50. Heaney leads and marks deep in the right forward pocket, 35 out.
Well, he looks the most likely, doesn't he? He dropped that mark he probably should have taken. He's had already kicked a goal, but he does look the most dangerous forward in the Swans forward line at the moment. It's a funny game, this one.
Isaac Heaney. Come around to the angle here from deep at right full forward. On its way right to the line, it's there. His second, Sydney's second. Gold Coast at 3-1-19, the Swans 2-2-14, 23 and a half played first term. Your experts are Mark McVeigh and Joel Patson.
Well, the one thing you don't want to do is get caught in that erratic style of footy, turnover, contested, handball going all over the place. The Suns are turning the ball over at half back, which is really turning the game into a bit of a, back and forth contest. Plenty of numbers inside 50, but that's where you need your key players to be able to make a good decision going inside 50 and hit a target and really kind of steady the game down rather than just going straight back at them, turning the footy over. Find those targets and get your structure going.
Well, I think you mentioned it about 5 minutes ago, Jolie. They were starting their attack off half-back with ball movement, and you said the Swans have got to be smart, and they started to cut it off. Starting to turn over now. Isaac Heaney's the one for me. They've got to keep getting the ball to him, give him opportunities. He's the most likely.
Suns have started well, 3-1-19. Sydney 2-2-14. Both of their goals courtesy of Isaac Heaney. Suns, though, win it in the middle of the ground. Rao tapped it to Flanders, who's been busy. He spots up Noah Anderson at right half forward with a short kick. Anderson will kick to the pocket. Casbolt to target. Blakey floats across the pack. Didn't get purchase on the spoil. Holman and Humphrey are hunting the footy in the pocket, and they win it. Holman's handball to Casbolt. His kick is up and under off hands. Boundary throw in right forward pocket for the Suns.
It's Gold Coast by 5. Bright sunshine here at the SCG. Comes back in. Side 50 here at the Randwick end for Gold Coast. Witts down to Roses. Taps it away cleverly here. Tries to clear a path for Holman. Spinning through traffic. Cunningham shares it with Warner, and the Swans are away with the corridor. Awkward bounce there for Amati. Bump from Farah. Collins gathers here. McPherson back to Mac Andrew running by and goes inside 50 again. Only to find McCartan, who intercepts the left back pocket.
McCartan short to Blakey. Handball over the top to Robbie Fox. Left half back for the Swans. Quick handball from Parker to Mills, and then a looping one to the wing to find Heaney. Now the Swans are away. Long ball from Heaney looking for Hayward. Excellent punch from Ballard. Loose ball inside 50 though. Papley has it. Handball's over the top. Rowbottom with a kick on his left. Bounces through. Excellent football, Sydney. James Rowbottom converts, but the team worked it forward well. And all of a sudden they have the lead back. Sydney 3-2-20 and the Suns are 3-1-19.
I want to see them go as quick as they possibly can, I reckon. The Sydney Swans, they look, all at sea at times, the Suns, when it goes inside 50. The Farah-Heaney matchup's an interesting one. If for our listeners, Heaney was able to get involved in that chain. Then he just ran inside 50 by himself. That's one that they're going to have to look at. It's not the right matchup. He looks like he can't go with Isaac. And then when the ball hits the ground, they'll go to work on him. It's clear they'll go to work on him, and they've got plenty of opportunities.
Well, you mentioned it pre-game with those small forwards in here, and there's a lot of space at ground level. They've been able to kill that aerial contest, but as soon as it hits the ground, there's space. Papley, Heaney and Rowbottom, they're getting on the end of it.
Around the grounds at Docklands, North Melbourne 3 straight 18, Essendon 2-1 13. Late stages first term there also. Up it goes. Hickey wins it down to Warner. Tries to spin clear. It was actually dispossessed by Anderson. Witts can send it forward of halfway here for the Suns. Back with the flight. Well watched by Swallow, who controls it to left half forward. Gets up. Wheels around now. Goes deep to right full forward. And Casbolt watches it bounce out of bounds for a throw-in left-hand side of the post. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Final confirmation it is a hard tag. Goulden off, took Miller, came straight off with him.
There we go.
They've made the move, the Suns. Lemons has gone to Isaac Heaney now. They've made the move.
Swans are in front by a point.
Boundary throw in deep inside 50 for Gold Coast. Witts keeps it in play close to the boundary line. The Swans, though, are able to clear defensive 50 through Florent. McDonald and Farah contest for the football. Warner's been excellent early. Swoops on it. Couldn't get quick clearance, though. Ball to boot, was tackled and caught holding the ball. Collins puts Gold Coast deep into attack again. Bouncing ball, Hallman tried to get hands on it. It's punched away from him by Harry Cunningham. The two number 7s going at it. Boundary throw in. Left forward pocket for Gold Coast to trail Sydney by a point late stages first term.
They love flipping it to the corridor here. The Gold Coast Suns look for Witts to get it out the back if he can.
Back in it comes. Witts was beaten by Higgy though. Florence, hurried kick, picked off by Holman, who snaps here for Gold Coast. Wobbles it through for their fourth. Nick Holman joins the party early on, and the Swans, or the Suns, in fact, go back in front. 4-1-25 Gold Coast, Sydney 3-2-20. As we approach the half-hour mark here on Grandstand AFL in the first quarter.
There's actually a score source for the Suns as their forward 50 stoppages. They do it really well. They like to get it to corridor and let their dangerous small forwards go to work, and that was probably off the back of Hickey's probably bad hit and craft, but good goal by the Suns. They're not going away. They're hanging in.
Nick Holman is 8th in the competition for tackles inside 50. He's their main lockdown man in attack. He profited with a goal there. Very clever snap.
We spoke about it as an area that to improve on the Gold Coast Suns' form in recent weeks. Here they are in front by 5 points again.
29 minutes gone in the first term. The Swans, who have won 4 in a row, have a challenge on their hands early doors. And Gold Coast have won it again in the middle of the ground through Noah Anderson, who was pushed in the back by Warner as he handballed it. The Swans thought they were away. A correct call by the umpire. John Longmire's not happy down on the Swans boundary lines. We can hear on the effects mic. Anderson goes short to Atkins. The 1-2. Now they go all the way back to Ballard. at centre half back. His kick is a dangerous one. Well done, though, by Ainsworth to mark. Just in front of him, low down. In front of Cunningham. On the logo, Ainsworth kicks to half forward. Well done by Dylan Stevens to cut across the leading Jared Witts and mark at half back.
Dylan Stevens, the sub last week, the 22 this week. Plays on beyond defensive 50. They converge on the members' wing. Coming through McLean. Ball in dispute. Heaney gets there first. Dumped in a big tackle down there by Collins. The ball bobbles out of bounds for a throw-in. In front of the benches. Gold Coast 4-1. Sydney 3-2. Grandstand AFL as we approach quarter time. Umpire chucks it back in. Hickey and Witts. Rowell wrapped up by Parker. The umpire says, give it to me.
A couple of the best tacklers in the game going at it today. Matt Rowell is number 1 in that stat in the competition. James Rowbottom, number 4. And once again, the Suns win the clearance. Bailey Humphrey with a banana inside 50 off the hands of Sam Day down to Lukosius, and now Hollands with a handball, but wasn't aimed at anyone in particular. That allows Callum Mills to swoop. Kick out to the wing is well marked by McPherson. The kick was over the head of Papley, and McPherson was able to gather. Goes short to Ainsworth. The Suns controlling the ball late stages of the first quarter and with the lead here at the SCG. Short again to Lukosius. Now he'll drill one inside 50. Well done by Blakey to get in front of Sam Day. But they're happy to chip it around the Suns and then look for a target inside 50. It's worked for them in this first quarter.
Blakey swings it across the goal mouth now for Francis. In the left back pocket for the Swans, and that'll be all she wrote with the first quarter of footy here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It's the Gold Coast Suns 4-1-25. The Sydney Swans are 3-2-20. Goal kickers in that first term for Lukosius, who kicked the first of the game. Flanders, Ellis and Holman for the Gold Coast Suns, while for the Sydney Swans, Isaac Heaney kicked their first 2, and the other was kicked by James Rowbottom. It's the Suns by 5 points at the first change on ABC Radio, News Radio and via the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
We need to go now.
You're not kicking me out of my own home, Arthur.
Denise Scott and Matt O'Kine.
It's an assisted living village, Mum.
In a shiny new comedy.
We're at a goat farm.
Mother and son.
You haven't even mentioned my new mode. It's hideous.
Cheeky, provocative.
What'll we do now?
And proves love is relative.
Looks like it's just you and me, Mum.
Believe me, Arthur.
Mother and Son.
That's more than enough.
Starts August 23 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Atkins goes forward of halfway. It's marked at centre half forward by Jack Lukosius. 45 out directly in front. Connects from 55. It's got the carry. It's straight as well. And the Suns are on the board first.
Started nicely, Gold Coast, challenging Sydney on their own turf early on. And here's a snap-on goal from Flanders, and they've got another one.
I think if you're sitting in the coach's box or you're a supporter of the Gold Coast Suns, you're happy. You'd be happy right now sitting there going, hey, they've come to play. John Longmire will be going, righto, boys, we've got a challenge on. They're ready to go.
Now the Swans are away. Long ball from Heaney looking for Hayward. Excellent punch from Ballard. Loose ball inside 50 though. Papley has it. Handballed over the top. Rowbottom with a kick on his left. Bounces through. Excellent football, Sydney.
Back in it comes. Switch was beaten by Hickey though. Florence, hurried kick, picked off by Holman, who snaps here for Gold Coast. Balls it through for their fourth.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Gold Coast by 5 points here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Joel Patfull, Mark McVeigh and Declan Byrne on the boundary. Elsewhere at Docklands, quarter time there. North Melbourne 3 straight 18. Essendon 2-1 13. Still to come, Brisbane v Adelaide at the Gabba. Later on, Carlton Melbourne at the MCG and West Coast Freo in the Western Derby. But for their thoughts on the opening half hour here in Sydney, here is Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfull.
Yeah, well, Joel, we spoke about their ability, the Suns, to be able to control the game with their foot skills, and that's what they've been known for since Stephen King's taken over. They want to go through the corridor. You know, they don't want to go long down the line. They get beat probably in that area, but they've been able to probably frustrate the Swans to a degree and allow the ball movement just to move down nice and slow to give them an opportunity to go inside 50. The Swans, on the other hand, if they go slow and don't get inside 50, it looks like they're falling into the trap that the Suns want. They need to make sure that they can't let them hit those 45s or lower their eyes. They've got to get their team defence going. Yeah, it's been a really good start from the Gold Coast Suns, and I reckon their plan has gone to plan in the first quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we talked about, they bought the contest early, and it started from there. They've been able to implement their game plan by hitting those short kicks in between the arcs. Really, is where they're trying to set that up. Like we talked about, the tough thing is going to be is whether they can keep hitting those kicks throughout the game. They turned a few over early, which resulted in Swans goals. So that's going to be the challenge for them. The Swans, on the other hand, they'll change tactics now. I would have thought they'd try and bring the pressure, try and stop those short kicks, and then try and turn them over, force them inside 50s. I don't think the Swans would be overly happy with how they've started because the game's not on their terms. They've got to try and step up the pressure, turn the footy over, get it going their way.
Well, contested possession's fairly even. I think their efficiency when they go inside 50 needs to be a little bit better. They have burnt the ball a little bit going inside 50.
Clearances, 13-9 in favour of Gold Coast, and a couple of prime movers for the Swans in there. Mills, only 3 disposals. Parker, just the 3, all handballs. Errol Goulden being tagged by Tuke Miller, the 2. That's where Gold Coast seem to be troubling the Swans as well. The ability to win it in the clinches at the moment and get going forward. Yeah, they've been good around the stoppages and getting the clearance. Like you said, they've been quite clean, getting a kick forward and getting the momentum going their way. The Swans wouldn't be happy with that at all. That they're, like we talked about, it has been an area where they have been struggling a little bit over the last few weeks, so they'll address that at quarter time as well.
Well, the Gold Coast Suns are throwing numbers up to the contest. Their forwards are coming up and giving them great support. They obviously identified they need to match the Swans in that area. The downside of that is when you go inside 50, you're outnumbered, but they've done it quite well, and it's worked so far.
Well, it's been Lloyd who's sitting off the back of the stoppage there, and it's how well he can get used off the back of that stoppage and use the footy going forward, and that's the tactic where they'll have to sum up whether it's working or not. Noah Anderson, 7 disposals.
Yeah, go on.
For Gold Coast, Ainsworth 6, Brandon Ellis 6, Sam Flanders 6 touches and a goal. What a purple patch he's having in his career at the moment. Atkins was busy early with 6 touches, and Lukosius started really well. 5 disposals, all of them kicks, 2 score involvements and a goal. For the Swans, Chad Warner has 8. Isaac Heaney, 2 goals, 4 score involvements from 7 possessions. A big game from Isaac Heaney so far. James Rowbottom with the 6 disposals, 3 score involvements and a goal. But as we said, the likes of Parker, Mills and Goulden, all with low numbers in the first quarter.
And it's about, can they withstand the pressure, the Swans? Because that is the situation they're in. They must win at least 2 of these last 3 games, if not all 3, to be assured of their place in the 8, which appeared unlikely weeks ago, granted, but the pressure is on them to see it through these next 3 quarters, and the Suns are taking it up to them. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
We'll just keep an eye on Hayden McLean, who came off bleeding from the chin with the blood rule before. Those sorts of ones never stop bleeding. He's not out there at the moment, so we might see him re-emerge with a chin strap. Oh, he's come back out. No chin strap, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Great live injury commentary down there from Declan Byrne. As the second term gets underway here at the SCG, the Gold Coast Suns by 5 points. First clearance goes the way of the Suns, and Flanders. High ball towards the outer wing. Pucked under it, Stevens in the contest with Ellis. Down to Goulden. Fires the hand pass out to Lloyd running by. And now Heaney gets separation on Farah. Plays on now. Sends the Swans inside forward 50. Out the back. Hayward again was beaten through the air. It was a free kick by Ballard. Giving away the shove. And that will line up Will Hayward from almost directly in front in the left forward pocket.
It's gone Farah to Heaney again, which is an interesting one. I thought Heaney had the best of him in the first quarter, and again he's outmarked him there. And
Hayward plays on quickly here and pops it through for the first goal of the second term inside 30 seconds. And the Swans go back ahead, 4-2-26 to 4-1-25 here at the SCG on Grandstand AFL.
Sorry, Brett, I got the block on here. I can't see this. They're kicking for goal.
Yeah, it is a tight commentary box.
Yeah, it is.
Nonetheless, though, Will Hayward gets on the board here, and as I say, the Swans recover the lead. Jai Farah, so last week had a career-high 8 tackles against the Crows, so whether or not hopefully he'll bring that sort of defensive pressure or pressure like Isaac Heaney today. Just say, he was beaten in the first term, but they're persisting with that matchup.
Well, they don't have a heap of options down there, do they? But it's clear that Heaney is the most dangerous forward on the ground right now, so it's one to watch.
8 disposals, 2 goals. Jai Farah, another one that Stephen King has given a chance to since taking over as interim coach. And a big assignment this afternoon. We'll watch to see if there's a change there. Papley with the clearance to Sydney. Heaney marks it again. And the quick handball to Parker. Left foot snap to the top of the square. Hayward's underneath it and marking. Looking for 2 goals within 20 seconds, Will Hayward. And once again, Isaac Heaney was a key part of that goal, which eventuates for the Swans. Hayward has 2. The quick snap yet again. Sydney out to a 7-point lead. And as I was saying, Isaac Heaney a key part of it.
Centre bounce again. We're able to win a clean centre bounce and get it inside 50. But yeah, Isaac's got his measure. He's moves him well. He actually was out-pointed and was able to move him under the footy to force the mark and the handball, which was fantastic. And Hayward again, deep. They've set him deep, which has been interesting, which has given a bit of a challenge to the Suns' backs.
Around the grounds at Docklands, Essendon in front, early stages second term. The Bombers are 3-1-19, Kangaroos 3 straight 18 there. So again, big game for Essendon as far as the top 8 machinations are concerned, as it is here. Swans out by 7. Hot start to the second term for the home side. From the restart, Hickey. 1-2 there with Parker, though. Ricochets away to Rowell for the Suns. Off to Flanders. Almost over around the ball here. Goulden gets it away in space. Now it's going to be a free kick for a high tackle. Miller takes advantage here for the Suns. Goes down the pipe where it's marked by Casbolt. Clunks the overhead grab. He's 25 out, slightly right of centre.
It's all about centre bounce at the moment, isn't it? Who can get the clearance? Who can be clean and efficient going inside 50?
Bit of a shootout.
Yep.
End to end. As Garvey mentioned, Levi Casbolt keen to play on next year. His career looked done a couple of years ago at the Blues. Here he is. Very high kick over the goal umpire's hat. The Gold Coast Suns get one back. It's back to a 1-point game. Sydney 5-2-32. Gold Coast 5-1-31. 4-goal in second term on ABC Sport. This is Grandstand AFL.
Pulled the 9-iron out for that. Oh, God.
You're right, it's a bit of a shootout, isn't it? Centre bounce clearance, inside 50, mark, goal. And the longer this goes on, the more confidence the Suns get, I think. You know, obviously the track record, they're confident playing down in Sydney. The Swans would want to put this away in the first half. You'd want to get a 4 or 5 goal lead. The longer this game goes on, it gets more and more unpredictable. So that's a challenge for the Suns.
It used to be like Shaquille O'Neal shooting free throws, Levi Casbolt kicking for goal, but he has improved that part of his game in the latter stages of his career. Accurate kick there. Sydney's lead. Just a point. 4.5 gone. Second term. The bounce wasn't great. Umpire allowed it to continue. And the Swans do win it back. Goulden under pressure. Kicks it to centre half forward. Hayward's there. Handball to Rowbottom. He spins free of a tackle. Look for Mills. Mills slaps it forward to Papley. Ball in dispute inside 50 for Sydney. Gold Coast win it back. Witts to Miller. Looping handball over the top for his ruckman. Witts goes short to Humphrey. Runs away from Cunningham and now kicks to the middle of the ground and finds Ainsworth.
Ainsworth keen to wheel on now. Comes inside of Florent. Goes inside 50. A kick out in space. That's a task for Lukosius, who can't beat McCartan to the boundary line. Throw in 45 around from goal. Paddington end, to which the Gold Coast Suns are attacking. And trail by a point. Umpire wastes no time. Back in it comes. Witts down to Rowell. Takes on the tackle of Rowbottom. Had the arms pinned, but the hand pass away somehow to Flanders from the pocket. Steps around Cunningham. Fires on goal. It comes up short. It's just spoiled through for a minor score by McCartan. Scores a level. 5-2, 32 apiece. 6 goal in second term here at the SCG.
Swans go short out of defensive 50. Lloyd has it. Handball to Florent. They're trying to get their run going now, Sydney. The kick looking for Papley, though, is misguided. Heaney does well with the bump on Farah. He's got Farah's measure at the moment, but the 26-year-old Gold Coast Suns defender is persisting. Boundary throw in just forward of the wing, out of sight. Scores level, 5-2, 32 apiece. 6 minutes gone, second term. Ruckman miss it. Ellis collects it. High ball to half forward. Sam Day's underneath it. Cunningham cuts across. Florent left it behind. Ainsworth gathers it at right half forward for Gold Coast. He's tackled well, and then he's caught holding the ball. I think he got purchase on that handball, but The umpire has given the free kick to the Swans and Aaron Francis.
The ex-Bomber at left half back. That's it. Oh, it's been dropped by Dylan Stevens. The boundary line for a throw-in. That was an absolute dolly.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. This is a young player that's been battling away in the VFL, gets his opportunity, and unfortunately just switched off a little.
Speaking of the VFL, Gold Coast won that by 68 points earlier over the Swans. They'll be on top of the VFL with 1 round left. The Suns, as this kick from traffic goes out for deliberate in front of the O'Reilly stand. So Tom Hickey out of the ruck. It was to clear. Gold Coast bring it back in. Ellis's kick goes high up the outer side. Day comes in very hard into the back of Stevens. Gives away the free kick for a push. Swans free kick from the outer side.
Jake Lloyd pushes Sam Day as a result. Bit of retribution, but the Swans are making this game a scrappy affair, even though there have been 10 goals to the 7.5-minute mark of the second term. That is suiting Gold Coast. It's just stagnant for the Swans. They kick up to Heaney, though. He's been someone who has got some flow in his game early on. Playing beautifully, Isaac Heaney. Chisels one to half forward. Perhaps he was a little bit too cute with that kick. Looking for Dylan Stevens. Cutting across was Sam Day. Boundary throw in, outer side. Half forward for Sydney.
Umpire tosses it back in. Wits up in front, takes it out of the ruck, slips the tackle of Hickey. Flanders dummies a hand pass, keeps it moving now. Lloyd goes back in the flight. It was play on, of course it wasn't a kick, so he's claimed a mark, but the umpire said play on. Goes towards half forward here for the Swans. Up to find a Marty, he got his ball from behind by Collins. And it's thumped over the line for a throw-in again. Same part of the ground, left half forward for the Swans at the Randwick end. It scores level, 5-2, 32 apiece. 9 gone second term here at the SCG.
Not easy to get any flow in this game at the moment. The away side Gold Coast are enjoying that. They want a free kick at right half back. Hickey infringing on Jared Witts. More hit-outs than anyone in the AFL this year, Jared Witts. Left foot kick up to the wing. Casbolt flew. Flanders tried to rove, but the ball beat him out over the boundary line. 5-2, 32 apiece. We are 9 minutes gone in the second term between the Suns and the Swans.
Intriguing game. Intriguingly poised here in the bright sunshine in Sydney. A couple of light clouds overhead. At Docklands, Essendon lead North Melbourne by 1. Midway through the second term there. Back in it comes from the stoppage. Off the deck, Parker to Warner. Hurries a kick forward. McPherson run to ground by Patley. Umpire says play on. Ball just came loose in time. Mac Andrew goes in hard. So too Anderson off the deck to Ellis. Flanders has Heaney watched him closely. Ricochets back here off half forward for the Swans. Parker head over it now. Rowell though wins it away for the Gold Coast Suns toward the other side. It missed Humphrey. Cunningham takes on Roses. Loose ball. Humphrey goes in again. He's brought to ground heavily on the outer logo. The umpire says give it to me. Scores remain level. 5-2 apiece. 10 gone second term here.
The Suns will be happy with this. It's a grind. Swans can't get any flow. Grinding it out.
Hickey smashes it forward, picked up by Parker. Clever, quick handball. Mac Andrew, though, read it best at half-back for Gold Coast. Now Rowell squeezes one forward to Noah Anderson. Atkins, clever, just waited for the right option and found Anderson with a handball. He's now spotted up Ben Ainsworth inside 50 on his own. The Suns work that forward to perfection. And Ainsworth can have a kick from 40 out, directly in front, just about.
So they worked that forward with contest, but then they didn't blaze away. How many times did the Gold Coast Suns players check their vision and go, nah, I'm not blazing away, I'm going to lower my eyes and find a spare free target inside 50. Good play.
Ben Ainsworth, pick 4 in the 2016 draft, looking for his 20th goal of the season. To put the Suns up by a goal. He has pulled this one hard to the left. It's behind, but the Suns have the lead. They are 5-3, 33. Sydney 5-2, 32. 11 minutes gone, second term.
The kick out. Lloyd goes beyond offensive 50. Floating across. Ellis makes a contest on the other side. Swooping through. Rowell extracts the ball. Shares it back with Flanders. Kicks on the angle. Or could pick up down there for Lukosius. Pressure comes McDonald as well for the Swans. Ball jars free. Knocked out in space. The hand pass down there of Stevens was picked off as the Suns go inside 50, and Roses takes a tumbling mark. He's 40 out, slightly right of centre here for the Gold Coast Suns. And the line-up here with a chance to extend that lead, which they got back only a short time ago.
A serious lack of highlights in this game at the moment. It's hard work. It's exactly what the Suns want.
Malcolm Roses. Northern Territorian. On the approach from 45. Paddington End on that left boot. Tugs it near side. 5-4-34 leads 5-2-32. Gold Coast in front, only just 13 goal in second term.
There's something about the SCG that Gold Coast like, and it's on show again today. They've had a couple of wins here in recent years, and they're making it very difficult for Sydney at the moment, who exit defensive 50 with another scrappy kick, boundary throw in on the outer wing. Suns leading by 2 points. Sam Flanders, 11 disposals for Gold Coast. Warner with the same number for Sydney. McLean in the ruck now against Casbolt. The secondary ruckman go at it. Picked up again by Ellis on the wing with another higher ball to half forward. Blakey's underneath it. Francis is gathering and half back for Sydney. His handball, though, is avoided by all and now swooped on by the Suns. Roses finds Tuke Miller. Well, nobody went to it for Sydney, and that's allowed Tuke Miller to mark inside attacking 50 and kick from 30 out slightly to the left.
Well, they'd be that keen to kick this, Spike. As you know, the tagging opponent, chance to get one back on Errol Gould. He's kept him quiet so far and been a big contributor to why the Suns are in the position they are. So big kick here.
Well, that wing pattern he runs deep to help. But if you can lower your eyes and change the angle, you're a chance.
Two-time All-Australian, two-time best and fairest winner at Gold Coast, Tuke Miller. Has kicked true. So he's doing the job on Errol Goulden, keeping him to just 4 disposals so far, the Swans dynamo. And now he's kicked one the other way, Tuke Miller. And Gold Coast have an 8-point lead halfway through the second term.
Well, it's over to John Longmire now. What's he going to do with Errol? Does he send him up as a high half forward to support the contest and try and break the tag, take Tuke Miller to the back line? Or does he put him inside and get his fast feet going around the centre bounce? And I can see here, it looks like they've made the adjustment. Errol looks like he's going into the centre bounce. That sends Rowbottom out to the wing. So they've made an adjustment already.
Well, the Suns would be happy with this. They're forcing changes. They're getting the game on their terms.
Yeah.
And like you said before, they're getting the ball forward, but then they've had a few kicks inside 50. They've lowered the eyes, and the skills of those players are so important moving forward.
What a battle it's been. Miller and Goulden. One down by McLean. Mills couldn't gather. Shea is out to Warner. McLean. Swans go forward of halfway again. Inside 50. Roberts beats McPherson to the ball now. Pulls it down to the corridor, where Hayward cops a little shove, and it's going to be a boundary throw in, 35 around from the left behind post at the Swans attacking end, the Randwick end. Gold Coast by 8 points though, 15 goal in second term.
They might need to find a goal the hard way here, Sydney. They're not being allowed to play their free-flowing football by Gold Coast. Boundary throw in inside 50 for them, attacking 50. Amati down to Goulden. And now Papley with the left foot kick on goal. It is missing everything, out of bounds on the full. The Suns maintain their 8-point lead 15 minutes into the second term.
So Atkins, the kick in, short ball to Ballard. Gold Coast with a slow, considered build-up now. Rowell marks. It's the corridor again. Goulden closes down Lukosius late. Amati cleverly here around Collins. Advantage, follows up here. It was clean spin move from Amati. Goes to the top of the square. Out the back. There's blue and gold Gold Coast jumpers there. Lemons can rebound the ball. Back beyond the defensive 50. McLean tumbles to ground. Stevens wrapped up by Casbolt. The umpire says, let's ball it up at right half back for Gold Coast. Left half forward for the Swans. It's the Gold Coast Suns who lead by 8 points, 16 goal in second term.
Amati, McDonald, McLean, all without a score so far. The big men for the Swans. Lloyd guides one, looking for Amati. Collins leads into the football though at half back. Handball to Atkins. Long ball up the wing. Sam Day's there with McCartan. Well done, Sam Day in his 150th to win that contest. Short handball to Nick Holman. He's wrapped up by Ollie Florent. So a ball up just forward of the wing for Gold Coast, but right now the Swans' key forwards are out of the game completely.
Yeah, and Isaac Heaney's probably been on the bench for around about 8 minutes, so they want to get him back on the ground.
Holman, good clearance here for the Suns. Goes inside 50. Lukosius got separation on Blakey. Takes a clean mark in the right forward pocket, 35 out.
You can hear the Swans coaching staff barking orders down there. So if you're a coach, you're starting to get a little bit worried. You're halfway through to the second quarter, the game's not on your terms, and it's been consistent from the start of the game. So they need to have a look at a few options here.
Well, I think Isaac Heaney, when he comes back on the ground, needs to get some isolation if he can get it, because he's clearly the right matchup. If you can get him inside 50 and get him alone, might give him a bit more opportunity.
Zach Lukosius kicked the first goal of the game. Did a couple last week against the Crows. Here he is on the approach and makes no mistake. They're out to a game-high 14-point lead. The Suns are 7-4, 46. Swans 5-2, 32. 18 goal in second term here at the SCG via Grandstand AFL.
It's not working for the Swans, Joel, when they go inside 50 and try and hit their keys. It just doesn't seem to be working. Collins and Mac Andrews are doing a really good job. So they've got to either get that dirty ball in that is unpredictable and hard to defend, or target Isaac Heaney, who's just come back on the ground after about 8 minutes, and try and get him some isolation so they can actually have a clear target to goal, because right now the Suns are doing a fantastic job at repelling any inside 50 from the Swans.
Well, there's a hush around the SCG, the kind of hush that signifies what on earth is going on. Sydney fans a little bit shell-shocked at the moment. They've won 4 in a row coming into this game. They'll probably chalk this one down as a guaranteed 4 points. Gold Coast have come with other ideas. They lead by 14. 18 gone in the second term. Swans do win it though through Callum Mills. Kicks to Logan McDonald inside 50. He just slaps it into a dangerous position. Hayward matched well by Lemons in the contest. Couldn't pick it up. Darcy McPherson tries to squeeze it clear. Stevens marks for Sydney. And then a strong tackle on Mills by Holman. Just as Mills was ready to spin away and kick Sydney into attack, Holman held the tackle. And we'll have a ball up just outside, attacking 50 for the Swans.
Fantastic bit of play.
Gold Coast by 14. Up it goes. Witts kicks smothered. In comes Swans and Rowbottom. Parker also spun the tackle. Stevens kicks smothered as well by Swallow. Bounce back here towards Florent. Now umpire ball up.
Tackles. Suns are really working hard in that area.
Stoppage 65 out here from the Swans attacking goal. One down here for Hollins. Dispossessed. Hickey head over it now, brought down by his opposite number in Witts. Ball up again. One more time. This time Swallows kick was smothered. Hickey follows that, and he's taken high by Jared Witts. Free kick Sydney, just forward of the wing at left half forward.
Have to find Isaac Heaney.
Suns by 14.
Lemons is watching Heaney now. Hickey kicks for the lead of McDonald. Well done by Mac Andrew to spoil when it seemed like McDonald would gather the football. Still ball in dispute in a dangerous area. Now McDonald gathers it, squeezes a kick forward and finds a major for Sydney. Well, perhaps they do need to do it the ugly way. And Logan McDonald was the man who gave them a much-needed major. And that margin is now pegged back to 8 points in favour of the Suns.
It's just that scrappy ball, wasn't it? I mean, he clearly should have marked it, but then they go to work on ground, which we think that's where they can be exposed, and they're able to just force that ball forward and kick the goal in not the best way, but the right way.
Yeah, we just talked about how good the Suns' key defenders have been, and a little bit disappointing there. He should have taken the mark first, and then no body contact at ground level. Let him get the uncontested ball, kick a goal from the top of the goal square. Something that they'll definitely learn from that. If you get beaten in the air, you've got to make the contest at the ground as well. So, disappointing effort.
Around the ground, Docklands off Melbourne 6 straight 36. Essendon 4-2 26. Kangaroos by 10 there. Approaching half-time. It's time on here in the second term, which Gold Coast lead by 8. Wonky bounce to get us restarted. Have it again. Everywhere you look, ramifications for the top 8 make-up, and teams battling to keep their spot in the 8 or push their claims for September. Clearance here goes the way of Touk Miller. Suns co-captain, high towards 50. Kind bounce for Ainsworth. Wrapped up by Florent. Runs into Francis. Umpire says play on. We'll ball it up now. 40 out from Gold Coast's attacking goal, Paddington end. Waste no time here, the umpire. And makes no mistake. Witts to the outside. Collins was beaten. Instead, steered by Robot of the Swans. Bounce to the outer side again away from Collins. Throwing it is in front of the O'Reilly wing. Eastern side of the SCG. 22 going second term. Scoreline Gold Coast 7-4-46. Sydney 6-2-38.
Stephen King, the interim coach of the Gold Coast Suns, has his team well prepared for this contest, making life very difficult for Sydney. They hold the lead as we get closer to half-time. And the Swans find 2 goals in a row. The Suns win it on the wing. Miller with the handball back to Lemons. Squeezes it forward to Jared Witts. Swans co-captain, Big Ruckman will mark. Again, he's happy to go slow. Takes his time before kicking to half forward. Francis and Lukosius in the contest. Flanders will gather it again for Gold Coast. Left it behind though. Mills to Parker, and now Florent. Heaney, who's been the danger man for Sydney, gathers it just backward of centre. Handball to Lloyd. Well done by Mac Andrew. Closed late on Logan McDonald. He infringed, but it allows his team to get back in numbers. Made the contest, and now Gold Coast have just flooded.
Gone on for the Swans. Hand pass out wide here. Fox on the bounce to Cunningham. Forward of halfway with a roost inside forward 50. And up goes Hayward. In from the side. It's far too easy. Headed for the pack, and Hayward sort of came third man in, fighting across. A clean overhead mark, and he's 35 out on a 45-degree angle.
So it's those hybrid type players, isn't it, that are doing the damage for the Swans. So, you know, you'd even go as far as to say, can we get our tools and McLean and Amadi up the ground, and let's get some more options for Hayward and maybe Heaney, which is a clear avenue to goal right now.
And of course, we'll shove him back play here with Robbie Fox and Ben Ainsworth. Continues there with Heaney and Holman. Mills involved as well. Meanwhile, Hayward kicked a couple of quick goals to start the second term. He nurses this through on the set shot from the pocket. He's got 3 in the quarter. We're back to a 2-point ball game. Gold Coast 7-4-46. Sydney 7-2-44. 24 going second term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Joel Patfull and Mark McVeigh.
Well, 3 goals for the quarter, so you definitely got to identify that in the Suns coaching box as to the best matchup there. What that option looks like, I'm not sure, because like you said, they are struggling with Heaney as well in the best matchup there. So something to look at, but he does look dangerous when he goes deep, Hayward, and I do agree, maybe bringing those tools further up the ground and isolating him even further is a good way through to goal. We saw that last week when they isolated Sam Taylor deep on the Giants, and which was resulted really well, so something to look at down there as well.
So the Suns lead by 2 points. 5.5 minutes to go until half-time. Will Hayward with 3 goals, Isaac Heaney with 2. As Mark McVeigh said on AFL Grandstand, it's those medium-sized forwards doing the damage for Sydney. The Suns still hold the lead. Matt Rouse, his head over the football, as he so often does in the middle of the ground. Well tackled by Luke Parker. Luke Parker and John Longmire. Now the 4th highest coach-player combination in the AFL. That is a fair mark for the 2 of them to reach. The tackle from Warner on Miller is only partly effective. Miller gets the kick free. Now Rao gathers it. Scrappy ball inside 50 for the Suns. Bounces off the shins of a defender. And now Florent can kick it out to the wing. Capley tries to gather. Lemons bit into the contest, but Florent intervened for Sydney. Wicks pushed off it by Holman. Ellis wins it back to Atkins. Handball forward to Roses. On his left, guides it to half forward. Clever kick, and he finds Swallow.
Swallow works it inside 50 now. A high ball to the pocket. Sam Day. Good body work on Francis. As he paid the mark, he is deep in the right forward pocket, the milestone man. Well, plays on quickly into the corridor. It's worked away here by Gordon. Ricochets, though, down to Anderson, and he misses.
It's a goal.
He has kicked the goal. The very lacklustre celebration of watching the play, not the goal umpire. It is a goal, and the Gold Coast Suns extend their lead back out to 8 points. 8-4-52. The Swans are 7-2-44. 26 gone second term.
Well, it's just Francis positioning there, and Jolie, you know that position is always hard. You got to get back really hard into your opponent. And I thought Day, with his ability, with his not giving away a free kick, almost coughed it up. But in the end, it was a really good goal.
It's always a tough one, isn't it, whether you play in front, and you see key defenders getting in that position more and more often these days with the zones and how you press forward, but you've just got to go, you'd rather go hard back and potentially give away a free kick than just get bumped under the footy like that. So
great point.
It's I think both teams are getting stuck a little bit between that zone and when to go man on man, resulting in these easy marks inside 50.
Brilliant snap from Noah Anderson, puts the Suns back out to an 8-point lead. We get closer to half-time. Anderson gets hands on the football. Well done by Wicks, though, to make a contest. Swans win it back. Goulden struggling to get hands on the football, sends the Swans inside 50. Excellent grab deep in defence from Mac Andrew. Well, pick 5 from a couple of years ago. He is showing his talents now deep in defence for Gold Coast. Excellent contested mark. He goes wide to Darcy McPherson.
Forward turn defender. Walks around Haywood. Picks up the members' side. Casbolt clean run. Second bite, can't pull it down. At the drop, Anderson wrapped up by Florent. Hand pass was effective to Rowell. Busts the tackle. Shares it back to Big Levi. Keeps it moving by foot to Touk Miller. Lays off the hand pass again here. Humphrey goes down the pipe now for the Suns. Deep to full forward. Up goes Day again in the contest with Francis. Tries to burrow his way through on the follow-up. Picked up there by Lloyd of the Swans. Shares it with Florent. He's run down by Swallow. Good forward 50 pressure from the Gold Coast Suns, and the umpire will lock it in with the ball up. Gold Coast 8-4. Swans are 7-2. 28 gone second term here.
They're working hard, Gold Coast, to lock the ball inside 50. They've done it for the majority of the first half an hour. Rowell to Roses. A snap on the left is through. Gold Coast have another one. And another one from stoppage inside 50.
Exactly.
And Roses has a key goal on the board to send the Suns out to a 14-point lead close to half-time.
Well called, Garb. The flip to the middle of the ground, that's the score source for them. If you watch on the replay, and we're watching it here, it's just into that danger zone. They've got to be switched onto that. It's just one of those moves. Jared Witts, we know, is so good at his ruck craft. He's a big man, and if he can get first hand on it, it's so dangerous. They would have scouted that during the week, so they'd be extremely disappointed.
Well, the Swans, they're a bit off here, aren't they? They're closing down the space inside 50 stoppage. You shouldn't be able to do that, especially back inside a corridor. A good team closes that down pretty quickly. So it's a general lack of body contact, closing that space down and forcing another stoppage.
Blakey wasn't goal side, and you're chasing towards goal, aren't you?
Approaching half-time, Gold Coast by 14. Penner's kick was partially smothered by Warner, who follows up for the Swans. Off to Patley. He can kick for distance down the corridor again. Worked away by Atkins on Wicks. Loose ball. Mills gets there first. Slips the tackle of Flanders. Lays it off by hand of Florent. Back inside now for Wicks. Goes to centre half forward. Michael McDonald. He plays on now. 52 from goal. Who's back there? McLean, who leaps up. Takes the overhead grab right on the behind line. And he's paid the mark. Nice entry from one key forward, McDonald, to go to the other key forward, Hayden McLean. Strong overhead grab. And he'll line up here at a tough angle, though, deep in the left forward pocket.
He finds these ones hard, I reckon. He's a good key forward, but he can find these ones a little difficult.
Kick 4 in the derby last week. Hayden McLean opens up the angle, makes no mistake. Kick. The Swans keep a good distance. Gold Coast control things here, but it's back to an 8-point game. Hitting the half-hour mark here in the second quarter. It's the Gold Coast Suns, 9-4-58. Sydney Swans, 8-2-50 on Grandstand AFL.
I think that's the blueprint, isn't it, though? They've just got to get the ball in a lot quicker and get into a disorganised defence. You can clearly see Collins playing aggressively in front. They go slow and sideways. It allows the Suns to get back, which they're trying to do, and help out their defence. They've got to go quick so they're disorganised going inside 50.
Yeah, you're right. It was that first one to McDonald outside 50. Lowered the eyes. Mac Andrew had dropped off to try and help out the defence deep. Got the first one and then got over the back as well, creating that mark over the top.
Got to go a bit quicker.
Suns lead by 8 points. 30 minutes and a half gone. That's a terrible bounce by the umpire, so that'll be called back. In the second quarter, Witts dominating Hickey in the ruck as well. That's an issue for the Swans. It has been for most of the season. Free kick, though, to Hickey on this occasion, so maybe that can get him going. Handball to Mills, and now to Florent, running off half-back. Guides one looking for a lead of Parker, punched away from him by Collins. Rowbottom gathers it though at half forward, handball back to Fox, and he'll look for Wicks inside 50. Couldn't mark, McDonald's there supporting him. Goes back to Fox. His kick into attack is marked by Rao. Suns defence holds firm, and Rao has it in defensive 50.
Plays on now, beyond defensive 50, at a one-on-one. Blakey's down there with Day, gives a shove. Legally, Blakey plays on, thumps it back inside 50 here for the Swans. Round weekend, running start from McLean. It's off hands down to Lemons, who can clear for the Suns. And Day, big overhead grab. He's 150th, and his return game marks at left, half back. Long quarter, 32 minutes and counting as it comes to Lukosius. Need entry here.
Great kick.
Goes inside 50. Casbolt from behind on McCartan. Numbers in defence here as Cunningham spins clear, although dispossessed by Roses. He was wrapped up by Rowbottom. Ball comes loose. Cleverly tapped on from Hollins to Miller. Back to Roses. Back to Flanders, 55 from goal. Pops it to the hot spot now. In the 2-on-1, Casbolt was outnumbered. The Carton dumps, lost the possession, and now Ellis just fires toward goal out of the pack. It bounces across the face and toward the boundary line, picked up again by Blakey, and the Swans are away.
Blakey's kick only as far as Darcy McPherson, who marks it half forward for the Suns, and he can put them into attack again. High ball, Casbolt's coming out to meet it. Well done though, getting in front of him and marking Ollie Florin. He's half the size of Levi Casbolt. He would have heard the footsteps of the big man, but he held his ground, took the mark. Plays on to Francis, switches it to the other back pocket. Amati's on a lead now, gathers it at half back. Does well to balk around McAndrew and kick to half forward. McLean will leap off his hands, and he's won the free kick against Collins. Advantage paid. Warner with a kick on goal to the square. McDonald marks. So the Swans can peg this margin back to 2 points with less than 10 seconds to go until half time. Logan McDonald, 1 goal to his name for the afternoon. The scoreline might just flatter Sydney.
What's he going to snap it?
McDonald will snap it.
Can't come off your line.
From about 10 metres out. He can't come off his line. He does that. The goal is paid. Maybe he moved back behind his mark and only stepped towards his mark. So Logan McDonald with 2. Gold Coast have a lead of 2 points at half-time. They are 9-4-58. The Swans are 9-2-56. It's game on at the SCG, and Gold Coast have come to play in a big way.
They led by as much as 14 points in that second term, the Gold Coast Suns. That's the game-high lead so far. Their goal kickers look like this. Lukosius has 2. Singles to Casbolt, Roses, Anderson in that second term as well. Ellis, Flanders, Holman and Tuke Miller, while for the Sydney Swans, 2 each. In fact, 3 for Hayward, 2 for McDonald, 2 for Heaney. Singles to McLean and Rowbottom also on the board so far in this game, which has the Sydney Swans trailing by 2 points on the Gold Coast Suns, who are 9-4-58. The Swans are 9-2-56. Your experts here on Grandstand AFL are Mark McVeigh and Joel Patford.
Looking at all the numbers, it's quite even. It's an even contest at the moment. Inside 50 is about 26-28. Tackles are the same. Contested possession, disposals, all the critical numbers you look at, they're very similar. So the Gold Coast Suns will walk into half-time really happy. They've come to Sydney. They wanted to challenge a team that's vying for the top 8. They obviously probably won't make the finals. So their attitude's been fantastic. Their game plan, I think, has worked. When it breaks down, they get scored against pretty easily. I think you can clearly see that. But they've brought a game plan that's challenged the opposition. It can be slow, it can be boring, it can be frustrating. But what they've been able to do is maintain possession, go inside 50, lower their eyes, take the ball off the line and score some goals. But clearly, Joel, when the Swans decide to go quick and go into a defence that's disorganised, they look likely to score a lot more than potentially what the Gold Coast Suns do.
Yeah, you're right. They do. They look like they're going to score easily when they can get in there with a bit of space and a bit of speed. They look like they're going to kick goals quite easily. But you're right. The Suns have brought a game plan where they've thought about it. They're trying to take away the Swans' keys. So McCartan, they don't want to kick long, intercept mark, get the ball going back the other way. They're looking short. They're using the ball well. And they've been able to do it. And like you said, it's frustrating the Swans. And it looks like they're not really up for a tough game right now. They want it easy. They want it on their terms. They want to leave with a win and keep moving forward. And at this stage, it doesn't look like they're going to get that game. They need reassess at half-time and bring that contest again. They started well the first 10, 15 minutes and then just drifted away from it. So they've got to bring that contest again, match the Suns in that clearance work, get the ball inside 50 and kick a score.
Errol Goulden, just the 6 disposals to half-time. So that plan to put Tuke Miller onto him, who has 10 touches himself and a goal, is working superbly for Stephen King. And the Swans, undoubtedly best and fairest leader at the moment, Errol Goulden, probably a lock for his first All-Australian blazer. He's just struggling to have an influence on this game.
I'll probably ask you, Joel, what do you do? Do you just pursue with, okay, mate, you're getting tagged, it's a tough day for you, do the team things? You might have to step out of certain areas. Do you just keep backing him, or would you make a positional change?
Well, he's been so good this year, so I think you back him in. I think you give him a chance but you back him in to do what he's been doing for the whole year, and you trust your player that he's going to produce. But it is an interesting one, isn't it? It's like, even with Miller going straight to him, standing next to him on the wing, it's like he knows he's in for a tough game. And I think that sent the right message for the Suns. When you've got a big role on a player and you go there, it sends the message from the team straight away that he's willing to do that for the team to set the tone. And I think that's where the Suns started with their plan and execution. Obviously, being able to keep him to 6 possessions has been amazing. The end of that quarter, Goulden was on the wing and Tuke Miller stayed inside for a little bit as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the game.
I think the luxury for the Suns at the moment is the emergence of a player like Flanders, which allows them to then put Tuke Miller in a run-with role. Like maybe 2 months ago, they couldn't afford to do that because Tuke was their number one ball winner. Flanders, 14 disposals to half-time, 3 score involvements and a goal. Rowell, Ellis, Anderson all busy, Atkins as well. So there's other players emerging. Probably gives them a bit more flexibility in that sense.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think, he was their number one midfielder, for the last few years. He's been all Australian because of it. So it'll be an interesting thing. I think the Swans need to go into half-time and say, okay, how are we scoring? And they need to really look at that, and they will. And they'll probably look at it and go, well, when we've got speed on the football, when they're disorganised, the Gold Coast Suns, when they can't get set and get their numbers back, we are scoring pretty easily. And they need to probably continue that and speed the ball up a little bit more.
The upset looks on here. Gold Coast by 2 points, as it does at Docklands, where it's half-time there. North Melbourne 6-1-37 leads Essendon 5-2-32. So two sides that are keen to keep their finals chances alive. Both find themselves down only by a little bit at the major break. More from Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfull, Daniel Garb, Declan Byrne very shortly. I'm Brett Sprigg. It is half-time at the SCG. Back with more from all of us, but in the meantime, right now to head to the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. At least 67 people have died in wildfires on the Hawaiian island of Maui, making it the deadliest natural disaster in the U.S. state's history. Authorities say the most devastating fire, which has all but destroyed the town of Lahaina, hasn't been contained. Parts of the island remain without power and water. U.S. Congresswoman Jill Taduka says the state was unprepared for the blaze.
When it comes to hurricane season, we don't think about winds whipping up dry conditions and creating wildfires. There is a lot of work to be done in terms of making sure this absolutely never happens again.
Australia is offering to help the state of Hawaii as it grapples with the disaster. Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles says Australia stands ready to assist.
We've made the offer to Governor Green. We've been very much the recipient of help from overseas when we've gone through our own ordeal. So we stand ready to help. We will be talking with the government of Hawaii, as we have, about ways in which we can usefully help.
A meeting of West African military leaders to discuss the situation in Niger has been postponed. As the BBC's Richard Hamilton reports, new details are coming to light about the possible motivation behind the coup.
The coup leaders maintain that they stepped in because of the deteriorating security situation in the country. Now Africa Confidential, a newsletter that provides analysis about the continent, suggests that other motives may also have been at play. It says that when the previous president, Mahamadou Issoufou, was in power, more than $125 million were diverted into private hands. And just when officials were reopening their inquiries into individuals linked to that scandal, President Bazoum was overthrown.
NT Parks and Wildlife says crews are still tackling a fire at the McDonnell National Park near Alice Springs, which spread from a controlled burn. Substantial sections of the park, including the first two sections of the Larapinta Trail, remain closed to the public. Senior Fire Director Chris Day says crews have contained the blaze along the northern and western fronts.
And we've got a substantial crew of bushfires volunteers and parks personnel working on the southern perimeter of the fire, which is along the Simpsons Gap bike path between Wallaby Gap and Simpsons Gap. And there's a lot of active fire in that area at the moment.
The peak body for Victorian doctors says an historic federal court victory against a Mornington Peninsula Health Service is a win for junior doctors. In 2021, Dr. Gabby Bolton launched legal action against Peninsula Health over claims of excessive hours of unrostered and unpaid overtime. Yesterday, a federal court judge found the duties performed by Dr. Bolton were by and large necessary, and Peninsula Health is obliged to pay her under the enterprise agreement. AMA Victoria President Dr. Jill Tomlinson says the outcome is a turning point for 7 other class actions lodged against state health services.
First judgment sends a very clear message, and we urge the Victorian Government to return to the negotiation table to settle all the action and resolve the unpaid overtime for all junior doctors once and for all.
A Victorian government spokesperson says it takes the welfare of healthcare workforce very seriously and will carefully consider the court decision. A New South Wales government plan to lift the cap on the number of concerts allowed at Sydney Football Stadium has been opened for public comment. The Moore Park venue has been limited to 6 concerts a year since the mid-1990s. The state government has put forward a proposal to increase the cap to 20 a year. Matilda's captain Sam Kerr is expected to play a bigger role in Women's World Cup quarter-final against France. Amanda Shalala with the details.
Kerr played around 10 minutes off the bench in Australia's 2-0 win over Denmark, her first appearance in the tournament after a calf injury. Coach Tony Gustafsson says his star striker will be in the starting 11 if she's fully fit, and he isn't worried about making changes to a successful team.
They've been amazing teammates supporting each other. There's been no complaints whatsoever in terms of if you start or come off the bench. They know their role and they play the role. And I definitely would never ever see Sam as a disturbance to the team.
England will face Colombia in tonight's other quarter-final at Stadium Australia in Sydney, Wongal.
And Hobart is set to host the Australian Diamonds netball team as part of a 3-game series against South Africa in October. You're up to date with ABC News. You can get more news at any time by downloading the ABC Listen app.
Hey, it's Declan and Lavender from Sport and Spice, where the chat is well seasoned.
Spicy even. Every week we keep you in the loop with the juiciest and most important and sometimes most ridiculous sports stories around.
We also chat to plenty of amazing athletes along the way.
I actually got kicked out of school last year.
But down here it is a real fight with rugby league and AFL.
I mean, I'm a bit worried. I don't want to cop it too much. And I think if you're not a part of it, you should have FOMO.
Sport and Spice. Find it on the ABC Listen app or in the podcast store under the Best of ABC Sport.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Miller takes advantage here for the Suns, goes down the pipe where it's marked by Casbolt. Clunks the overhead grab, he's 25 out, slightly right of centre. Here he is, very high kick, over the goal umpire's hat. The Gold Coast Suns get one back. Holman with clearance here for the Suns, goes inside 50. Lukosius got separation on Blakey. Takes a clean mark in the right forward pocket, 35 out. Here he is on the approach and makes no mistake. They're out to a game-high 14-point lead.
It's not working for the Swans, Joel, when they go inside 50 and try and hit their keys. It just doesn't seem to be working. Collins and Mac Andrews are doing a really good job.
Advantage paid. Warner with a kick on goal to the square. Donald marks. So the Swans can peg this margin back to 2 points with less than 10 seconds to go until half-time. Can't come off his line. He does that. The goal is paid.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at the Sydney Cricket Ground here on Grandstand AFL. The Gold Coast Suns lead the Sydney Swans by 2 points. 9-4-58 plays 9-2-56. I'm Brett Sprigg alongside Daniel Garb. Our experts are Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfull with Declan Byrne on the boundary. Round the grounds at Docklands, almost the second half underway. It's still half-time, only just. North Melbourne 6-1-37 leads Essendon 5-32. Coming up later on, big game at the Gabba in the twilight slot. Brisbane Lions against the Adelaide Crows. Later on, Carlton versus Melbourne and West Coast and Fremantle. Also, just to bring you across what's happening in the NRL, where it's underway in Cairns, South Sydney and St George Illawarra at 0-0. The NRLW wins today with the Cowboys over the West Tigers 16-12 and the Canberra Raiders 19 beat St George Illawarra 18. Of course, the big sporting event today is the Matildas, their quarter-final against France, which has coverage starting at 4:30. So as soon as we're finished here, it's on News Radio in every state except Queensland, where you'll find it on the local radio there in Brisbane. Of course, the game being held at Lang Park in Brisbane, as well as on the ABC Listen app. I think I mistakenly said it was on ABC Sport Digital in all the capital cities. It's complicated, that side of things, but the best place, of course, to find all of our World Cup coverage and coverage across anything dedicated is also on the ABC Listen app. So that's what's to come there. In that quarter-final, Garby, it's massive. As I say, of course, the winner of that, Australia-France, will take on England or Colombia, who meet tonight here in Sydney. And the first semi is already decided. So what's that? Spain and Sweden in that. It's just been huge. The fact that we're going to have it on the big screen here. The AFL delayed the start time for Carlton v Melbourne at the MCG because they'll show it at the MCG as well. It's rare to see that kind of, I guess, acceptance. You're giving way to an event that is that big. It's just it's captured the imagination of the entire country.
Channel 7 have pushed back the 6 o'clock news because of the Matildas game. I mean, it's very rare that a TV network does that with their premier programming items. So that sums up how enormous it is. And my goodness, if it ends up being a semi-final with England, I don't know how it gets any bigger, but it will. But they have to get past France this afternoon first, and that is no easy task. The French are strong. Sam Kerr's back. Does she start? Does she come off the bench? A dilemma for the coach, Tony Gustafsson. We wait with interest to see what the starting lineup is for Australia, but a massive afternoon in Australian sport ahead.
Absolutely. I like Matthew Nicks, who was speaking about, obviously they're at the Gabba. They're playing head-to-head in Brisbane against the Lions. So for the second time, there's going to be a game in Brisbane of a football code going head-to-head with the Matildas. Matthew Nicks himself saying, well, I hope that does keep some of the home fans away because they'll be at the Matildas or watching on TV at home. But I myself wouldn't mind watching the Matildas instead of being at my own footy game. It's just extraordinary.
As a coach, Mark McVeigh, if your medical staff says your best player only has a half in her, or him, regardless, what do? Do you bring them on for the second half, considering there might be extra time as well, or do you start them and hope to get the lead and then hold on?
Well, obviously, they're different games, but it's a hard one. I mean, you're probably just waiting to see what happens, aren't you, with Kerr? You can bring her on any time. Clearly, they don't think she's ready, or, she's still in that danger zone of re-injuring her calf. So, no, I'd be sitting waiting. I thought he did really well the other night. And seeing how the result played out, and obviously they were going quite well, and she needed a run, but might be a little different tonight. It's a different beast they're playing, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see.
A lot harder.
How it all goes from 4:30. Kick-off at 5 with Ned Hall and Carly Rossbach and our broadcast team for the massive World Cup quarter-final Matildas against France. Earlier, by the way, here in the VFL, Gold Coast beat the Swans by, 68 points in the curtain raiser at the SCG, which has the Gold Coast Suns on top of the VFL table with one round left. So they'll be a top two finisher, I think, regardless. And I guess testament to the depth they have in their system right now. While they're in front in this AFL game and a chance of causing the upset, as I say, they've had a mixed month under Stephen King, the interim coach. 2 wins and 2 losses. They're in front here by 2 points at the major break. Mark McVeigh, Joel Patfull. Where is it going? Because we have seen Gold Coast be with teams for certain periods, and I think we did the game in Canberra a few weeks back. The Giants and the Suns was a close game. Giants ran away with it in the end. How do you see it playing out the second half?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because obviously the Suns enjoy playing down here, so I don't think they're going away. I don't think it's going to be a 10-goal victory for the Swans. I don't think it's going to turn around in 5-10 minutes. So they would have had a good think about it at halftime and what they can do to kind of get a bit of momentum back in their game. They fell away a little bit towards the game, and it felt like the Suns were almost controlling with the way the game was going, and the Swans were being a little bit reactive. So from here, I mean, the Swans, for me, it's the intensity. It feels like around the contest, they're off just by 5%. They weren't expecting such a big battle, which is strange because they have had those results against the Suns, but they need to start closing those gaps in tight, making some tackles, and getting the game back on their terms.
Well, I think the Swans coaching staff will be really nervous. They'll be wanting to see a response here in the second half, and we touched on it just before half-time. I think they need to make some subtle changes to what they're doing. I think the Gold Coast Suns won't change too much. They know that they can potentially grind this win out. Now, they have to hang in there, you have to hang tough. But I think the Swans will back Errol, which I reckon Jolie was a great point. They'll back him in to get the job done. But I'd like to see him speed up their ball movement. Speed it up, get it inside 50 a little bit quicker, try and expose this Suns defence and hopefully score on the back of it.
A few more numbers, Garby. I know you were going through it all before the news, but a few more numbers to half-time.
The Chad Warner has 15 disposals for Sydney, leads the way for them. He has 10 contested possessions, so he's fighting hard, Chad Warner, and 3 score involvements as well. Jake Lloyd, 12 of half-back. Blakey with 11. Isaac Heaney has been a star for Sydney in the first half. 11 disposals, 7 score involvements and 2 goals. Luke Parker worked his way into that second quarter well. He's up to 10 touches now. Mills only 7. Errol Goulden, we've spoken about, just the 6 being tagged by Tuke Miller. Sam Flanders continues his excellent form. He's up to 14 to half-time, disposal-wise for the Suns. Raul has 14 as well. 9 contested possessions, 5 clearances. Ellis with 13, Noah Anderson with 12, and Lukosius, who's been excellent, 7 disposals, 2 goals, 3 score involvements.
Round the grounds at Docklands, underway in the third term. North Melbourne leads by a point over Essendon, 6-3, 39 to 6-2, 38. Scores were level a short time ago, and North are going with them and having a time of things there. Bright sunshine here. What a second half coming up. It's Gold Coast who lead here by 2 points. Still no movement by way of subs. This nice little battle as well. Another battle with Tuke Miller, Errol Goulden. The Gold Coast Suns keep shutting him down. Well, it's a massive game for the Sydney Swans. Still 2 games to come after this. Third last round of the regular season as they make their push towards September. Here's Daniel Garb on Grandstand AFL getting us back underway.
The Swans have won 4 in a row. It looks like they're on a rampage towards the finals. Is that momentum going to be halted by an unlikely source in the Gold Coast Suns? The Suns lead by 2 points, start of the third term. Witts palms it down to Raul, who's well tackled by Luke Parker. Umpire throws it up quickly. Witts again with the tap. So brilliant with his artistry. In the ruck, Jared Witts, down to Tuke Miller, but he's wrapped up by Warner. Miller in the middle, not standing alongside Errol Goulden at the start of the third. That's interesting. The Swans move it to half forward. Collins is there, well tackled by McLean. Farmed out to Parker, on hands and knees, gets the handball clear to Rowbottom, and he spots up Papley inside 50. Clever kick. Papley's marked and will kick at a 45-degree angle, 45 metres out.
Errol's gone forward, Garb, so he started forward. So that would be the reason. They'd be working out how they're going to do this. They might just leave it. But again, good inside 50, lower their eyes, find the spare, small, which is what they need.
Tom Papley without a goal in this game. 2-time leading goal kicker at the Swans. 35 majors for the season to put Sydney back in front. He has done that. Hand up, fist pumped. And high fives all round. Tom Papley's on the board. And Sydney have the lead back. Start of the third. They are 10-2-62. Gold Coast 9-4-58.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Suns respond here with that one. Obviously, Goulden forward and actually had a lot of space inside 50 then. Almost got on the end of that one. You'd hope that the defender who's playing on him would show him a little bit of respect and lock down, because you know he's too good to give space, especially around that 50-metre mark and inside.
Well, you look at what they've done. Like, you know, Parker's forward, Errol's forward. They've gone with Rowbottom. Papley, we know, comes in for centre bounce, and with Warner. So they've changed the mix up a little bit. Parker's going deep forward. He looks like he's got a little bit of a mismatch there. So really interesting, and I like this. I like this from the Swans. They're not sitting back and just waiting. They're throwing something at the Suns straight away.
6th lead change of the game so far. Papley's first goal. Swans by 4. Back in the middle. Hickey Got a fair share shot. Wrapped up by Swallow. Rowell can bring it forward of halfway for the Suns. Fires it down inside 50. It's come off Ainsworth, and now Roses turns 45 from goal. Gives it a whack and rides it all the way home. Malcolm Roses with his second. Gold Coast get the immediate reply. And the lead back as well. 10-4 plays 10-2. 3 gone third term.
I really like him as a footballer. He's just got some... He's got some tricks, hasn't he? He steps around, dances around, can kick the ball around corners, has a good goal sense. He's got a bright future.
It's a good example of what happens when the defenders are a little bit off.
Yeah.
Cunningham, he was 2 metres off him the whole way, half missed the tackle, didn't want to hit a body, and then you keep going. There are days like that when they just score and they keep kicking these goals to keep them in the game, and then before you know it, there's 10 minutes left and you're 2 goals down, and it's too late.
Goulden back into the middle of the ground. David Swallow standing him right now. Hickey with the jump. Witts with the tap. And then Swallow, the quick kick, inside 50 for Gold Coast. Day leads Blakey to the football. Palms it down. Raoul's there, winning another contested ball. Parker with the tackle on him, but Rowell got the handball free to Witts, who just snaps one inside 50. Dylan Stevens diving. He's able to mark. Gold Coast with the lead by 2 points, early stages of the third.
Stevens is across the goal mouth here defensively for McCartan. Beyond defensive 50 now. Mills just keeps it alive. I don't think we're playing out of bounds this round anyway. Saw that one last night. We saw Blakey earlier as well. It's had a... Papley here went to take the mark. He was poleaxed by Sam Day. Papley's still down. Balljar's free, and Mills is manhandled by Swallow. Good shirt front on him as Anderson also dealt with Goulden. Ball comes out of bounds for a throw-in. Demonstration goes on here with Parker on Sam Day, and Holman's involved as well. We'll throw it back in. 75 from attacking goal for the Gold Coast Suns at the Randwick end. It's they who lead by 2 points. Witts with the front of Hickey. Parker over around the ball now, picked up by the Swans, and Rowbottom tumbles it back down the members' wing. It missed Collins, missed McLean. Out the back, McAndrew can mop up now. It goes with Amadi. Amadi brings him to ground. Umpire says play on. Plucked free here by Heaney, and he's tackled down there by McPherson. In there again is Rowbottom. Into the back of him, Miller, and the umpire will ball it up on the wing in the shadows of the members' ladies' pavilion. Our left on this western side of the SCG. Suns by 2 points, 64 plays 62, 5 gone third term.
Same theme here early in the third quarter. Gold Coast making it a scrappy contest and winning it in the clinches. Well done by Noah Anderson. Gets around a couple, has a couple of bounces, drives the Suns to half forward through the hands of Casbolt though. Maybe he had the sun in his eyes, so McCartan wins it back. Handball to Blakey. Cunningham sends it up the wing to Lloyd, and now they've got a half forward. Hayward will leap and mark. Having a big game, Will Hayward. 3 goals to his name. He's marked at forward of the wing. Long ball looking for McLean. He's wrestling with Collins over the head of McLean. Amadi taps it back to McLean, who snaps on goal. McLean has 2. The big men combine. Joel Amati, clever, tapping it down to his fellow key forward. And McLean puts the Swans back in front.
Well, they're dead set so hard, the Suns, to try and stop the leader, which is fantastic. But if you can get to the leader and then roll and get them out the back with speed on the ball, that's the opportunity. Again, it's another example for the Swans. Don't go slow, get it in quick and give us an opportunity.
Yeah, you called it well. He could have held the ball up outside 50, looked for a short target, but he got it out the back, plenty of space, and they have looked dangerous. When they can get it inside there, plenty of space, even their tools at ground level, they're looking dangerous.
Voice of Joel Patfull alongside Mark McVeigh here on Grandstand AFL. Across the network via ABC Radio, News Radio, ABC Listen app. 8th lead change in the game. Swans by 4 points. Back in the middle. Hickey wins it down here. Miller beats Rowbottom. His kick was smothered though off the chest of his own teammate Rowell. Wins it away clear though. Rowell takes on Hickey. Back to Miller now. His co-captain goes inside forward 50. Deep where Blakey is waiting. Takes the intercept grab at fullback here for Sydney.
Rowell up to 17 disposals, 11 of those contested, and 7 score involvements. Former number 1 draft pick. Having a big afternoon here at the SCG. McCartan sends the Swans up the wing. McDonald has front position. Winning it at the source is Mills. Handball back to Warner. Left foot snap is high. Coming out to meet it is Ballard. Only had eyes on the football. Attacked the Sherrin and marked it just behind the wing.
Charlie Ballard now slipped to third for intercept marks in the competition. He was leading that stat for a while. Atkins to Swallow. Back to Atkins, the former Crow. Takes on Roberts. Wrapped up. Get rid of it. Rory doesn't quite do so now. Hand pass to Hollands late. Still alive here, the Gold Coast Suns, as Swallow goes back down the corridor inside 50. Anderson and Humphrey in there. And Humphrey will receive the free kick here for contact over the shoulder. And line up there from 30 out directly in front. In fact, it's going to be Holman who get the free kick.
Corridor use again. Work it from the outside, get it back into the inside, and then give yourself a chance. So Swan should know what they're going to get in the second half.
Holman, the former Blue, recent 100 gamer, lining up here for his second goal, and to give Gold Coast back the lead, he misses to the right-hand side. Margin 3 points Sydney's favour. 9-goal in third term here on Grandstand AFL.
The Suns are not going away though. Nor is the sun here in Sydney. Still beaming down, a lot of supporters shielding their eyes, trying to get a good view of this engrossing contest. Perhaps not the most free-flowing game of football, but certainly a tight one. Blakey sends the ball up the wing. Hayward out the back, gathers it. Handball to Mills, now to Warner. Warner goes inboard to Rowbottom. The Swans move it to half forward. Another quick handball from Warner to Hayward. Caught well, though, by Flanders. It should be holding the ball. He didn't dispose of it correctly. The Suns win it back anyway. Tuke Miller sends it up the wing. It evades Sam Day. Francis tracks it back, but Lukosius gathers it. Scrappy kick to half forward. Blakey's back as the sweeper for Sydney. He can gather it. And now just kick it across his own defensive 50 and find Robbie Fox.
We'll switch it across here towards the outer side. Fox with a chip kick to find Cunningham. Fourth most experienced one in terms of games played. Comes infield now for Goulden. He works it short by foot here to Lloyd. Away the middle of the SCG. Goes toward the outer flank. It bounced away from McDonald and also Mac Andrew going with him. Out of bounds for a throw-in the junction of 50 at right half forward in front of the big screen and Daily Messenger stand here at the SCG. Swans by 3 points. 10-goal in third term. Still bathed in sunshine here in Sydney. Back in it comes. And Marty and Witts. Witts snatched it out of the ruck. Shares a hand pass to Flanders. He was legged down there by Gould. Got it away though. McPherson kicks through traffic and it bounced out towards Holman, who can't keep it alive. In fact, no, we'll come back here for a boundary throw in. I thought for a second we were onto something there.
Yeah.
They're not playing out of bounds this week. We'll throw it back in though on the outer side. Swans by 3 points.
Hayden McLean in the ruck. Up against Jared Witts, who, as expected, is controlling the stoppages for the Suns. Gets hands on this football. Well done, though, by McLean to tackle him and catch Witts holding the ball. He was second to it, Hayden McLean, but he put a strong tackle on. It's a free kick on the wing for Sydney. Kick them inside 50. McDonald and Mac Andrew jostling. Andrew punches it away from the pack. Miller gathers, handball over the top. Favours Ainsworth, has Swallow in support. No one forward though, offering a lead for Swallow. His quick kick is snapped off by McCartan.
Tom McCartan finds James Rowbottom in the middle of the SCG. Holds it for a moment now, Rowbottom. Options by foot. Short pass here to Goulden. Middle of the bullseye. Goes down the corridor a little too deep. Was the kick looking for Hayward. It's marked by Jai Farah.
Took Miller getting free now that he's been loosened up off Errol. He's getting a lot of the footy.
Farah, number 50 on his back. Plays on beyond defensive 50. Back to the commentary side. Francis in the hole. Spills the mark. At the drop, Lukosius for the Suns. Tries to tumble it up the line. It's out of bounds on the full. Sydney ball at left half back. It's the Swans who lead by 3 points. 11-2 plays 10-5. 12 gone third quarter here.
Now Tuke Miller's gone back to Errol Goulden.
Yeah, he's gone to the wing again.
So that tag continues for Stephen King. It's proved so effective so far. Swans lead by 3 points. Robbie Fox kicks to half forward. Well done by Witts to claim the football. He thought he'd marked it. Umpire said play on. Now Anderson. The high ball to half forward. Blakey lost it in the sun. but did well to track the football, keep his feet and guide it over the boundary line. Next to the Swans bench is the Swans, who lead by 3 points, but it is still a nervy afternoon for them.
As it is for Kangaroos and the Bombers, it's North Melbourne 8-3-51, Essendon 8-2-50, neck and neck at Docklands, third term there. Casbolt out of the ruck. It's going to be a free kick going the Swans' way for a block, which will come back to Hayden McLean.
Isaac Heaney fuming on the boundary line, wants to come back on. No one's come to the bench.
Warner runs around here, spots up Parker, but floating across Anderson. Just spoils it out of bounds for a throw-in between wing and half forward inside Sydney's attacking half. 3 points their lead, 13 gone third term.
Casbolt and McLean in the ruck. Shield their eyes from the sun. McLean with a quick kick to half forward. Bounces in front of Flanders, and Goulden stays in though for Goulden, who gathers it. Quick kick. Ballard failed to clear it. Hayward with a handball to Amati, slams it through from the goal line. And they run to Errol Goulden, the Swans players, because it looked like that ball for all money was going over the boundary line. Goulden didn't give up on it, created something out of nothing, and Amati slams it through. The Swans lead by 9 points.
Well, he went harder. He went harder than the opposition. He slowed up, thought it was going to go out, was happy to take the stoppage. Errol didn't want it. Went after it hard, get the ball inside 50, and again, they go in quickly to an inside 50, they get a score. That dirty ball, the ball that's not the best looking one, gives them a great opportunity, and Gold Coast can't defend it.
Yeah, and you saw the Swans players get around Errol after that as well. So whether they know that he's had a tough half, he's starting to get back into the game. He's had 3 or 4 quick touches here, using the ball well, created the goal there, and obviously the players are aware of the impact that he has on this game.
It was an awkward ball drop from Amati, who knew if he let it go all the way to his... He had to sort of get it onto his boot quickly, because otherwise if he ran all the way, it would have gone over the goal line without hitting his boot, if that makes sense. So just lifted his leg early and got the goal. 9 points is the Sydney Swans lead. Still waiting for a clearance as Mills wraps up Anderson holding the ball. Sydney captain rewarded. Warner wants to play on, but nothing doing from umpire Eleni T. One of the 4 officials out there today: Jeff Dalglish, Brendan Hosking, Andrew Adair. Callum Mills. Options inside forward 50. Paddington End goes high to the hot spot now. Numbers in defence though for the Gold Coast Suns. Heaney wrapped up. Hand pass away here though for Stevens, and Wicks can try to just work it out through traffic, and it's bounced clear for a throw-in deep in the right forward pocket. Sydney by 9 points, 15 gone third term.
So the Swans just starting to get the game back on their own terms. Certainly not out of the woods. Casbolt gathers it cleanly from the ruck contest. He's kicked to centre half back for the Suns. It's gathered by the Swans. Francis holds his ground well in the contest. Anderson tackled by Dylan Stevens. Umpire allows play to go on. Ainsworth to Flanders. Torpedoes one to centre half forward, but yet again,
it's about the 4th time this quarter, Gov.
It's a kick without really looking from a Suns player, and the Swans are able to gather, and they love it when the game allows them to rocket it out of half back. Mac Andrew overran it. Logan McDonald gathered it at half back for the Swans. But a strong tackle there by Elijah Hollands, wraps the ball up.
So that's the gamble you play. When you want to support your contest and send your forwards up, you know you're going to go 1 or 2 down behind the ball, and the Swans are doing it really well this quarter.
Sydney by 9 points here. Donald out to meet the football now, takes on Rowell. Ricochets away here for Touk Miller. Got it away here again, back to Flanders. Walks around Roberts, spots up Casbolt. Long way from home though, just fall to the wing. On to Rowell again, he's 75 clear. Off to Hollands by hand. Hollands with a raking ball going inside forward 50. Down there is Lukosius. Stevens missed it with a spoil. Roses says thank you very much and snaps his third.
Good young player.
Malcolm Roses has 3. And it's back to a 3-point game. The Swans are 12-2-74. Gold Coast 11-5-71. It was just well read by Malcolm Roses off the pack. He had good vision of the goals on that left boot for goal number 3. 17 going third term. It's still the Swans, but only by 3.
Yeah, great bit of play. That's what you want from your small forwards. Rocking up from outside 50, front and square. And great finish. He looks clean inside 50, doesn't he? When he gets a chance, he's kicked a couple of really good goals today and finished well, which is what you're after. They don't get too many opportunities up there, especially against a good defence, but finishing very well there.
They can't get a glove on him at times. He's got some real tricks to get out of trouble. And, I think that too, Casbolt just leading up with the ball and not blasting away, lowered his eyes again and gave him an opportunity to go in deep. Then they can defend it a lot better. So, good bit of play.
We'll wake up and smell the roses. Malcolm has 3. Dylan Stevens, who missed the spoil. Errol Goulden went to him and just tried to lift his spirits. Swans a minute, middle of the ground. Warner, scrappy kick into attack. Heaney gathers it. He's well tackled, and an excellent tackle from Sam Wicks on Jai Farah. Ball up inside 50 for Sydney. So, Stevens missed the spoil, allowed Roses to kick the goal, and Goulden was straight to him, trying to lift his chin up off the ground.
They didn't go on third term. Swans by 3 from the stoppage. Down to Warner, who snaps on his left boot, and it's through! Revs up the crowd as well. In comes the Chad. Big goal that for the Swans. Out by 9 points, 13-80. Gold Coast 11-5, 71. Great stoppage work from the home side.
So that's the hardest one. Curving away from goal, running to the boundary. But as we know, that's class. That's a class midfielder. Power, speed, and poised to be able to put that through. Knew exactly what he was doing. It's a great forward 50 stoppage goal. I've seen a few of those today. They're hard to come by usually.
Well, it's what we needed. A bit of a highlight to get the crowd going and get him involved. And pretty happy with that. Like you said, great finish from a great player. But can I ask a question, Spike? Why would they have dropped the tag of Goulden going forward? You see he's obviously having an impact on the game now, and they've just let him get away for a couple of minutes. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think it looks like he's gone back to him, but they probably just dropped off and thought we need to get a bit more with our main midfielder, and we're going to just sacrifice a little bit of that to get more ball.
Swans lead by 9 points. Witts wins the tap, but Papley wins the clearance. Handball inside to Rowbottom. Gets it back on Papley. Kick from outside 50. McDonald has marked it. Strong overhead. That was rapid from the Swans out of the middle of the ground. Tom Papley finding Logan McDonald, who can kick from 15 out, slide angle.
Quick ball movement.
Logan McDonald has 2 goals for the afternoon. And he kicked 3 goals in his last 6 games prior to this one, so he was after a big afternoon. He kicks his 3rd here. That confidence might come back to him. He's done that. Sydney are charging in the 3rd quarter. The lead is out to 15 points. That's the largest margin the Swans have had all afternoon. We go down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, Gold Coast Suns have activated their sub. So James Cheetahs is out there, just working out who they've taken off. It might be Elijah Hollands, but I'll come back to you on that.
15 points, a game high, as you said, Garby. Either side's way. Is this where the Swans put their foot down? Find that next gear.
Well, this is the game the Swans would have wanted to play from the opening bounce, and the Suns have held them off for this long with their contests around the footy and the way that they've been able to control the ball as well. But this is what they're after: free-flowing, quick movement, get it inside 50, kick a winning score.
I think what they've done is they've made it hard for Touk Miller to get to Errol, and Errol now starts as a forward, so they're playing the game. And it's back to Stephen King. What are you going to do?
Well, they're getting the game back on their terms. They're making a few things. They're making the Suns think about what they do next.
Restart back in the middle, out of the rucks. Witts snatches it clear, wins the clearance, high inside 50. Florent can't control the one-hander, has Cheetahs for company. That's going to be a Swans ball. Free kick will go the way of Ollie Florent. I think Declan Byrne's spot on to Elijah Hollands. We don't see out there. He's been subbed out for James Cheetahs. So, meanwhile, the Swans work it up the line. Towards a contest on the outer wing. Hickey and Witts again, bursting his way through. Nice work from Stevens, puts the Swans inside 50. Ellis floats across to intercept there for the Suns. Remains 15 points, the Swans lead.
A challenge now for Gold Coast. Got to play a bit more of an attacking brand now. They go out to Roses, strong mark. Well, he's having a very big afternoon, Malcolm Roses. 3 goals. And with that left kick, he tries to spot up Flanders in the middle of the ground, just over his head. But well done by Rao to read it, gather it, and now kick to Lukosius at half forward. Blakey does well in that contest. Looking forward is Cheetahs, the sub. Handball over the top. for Flanders down there. It was wrapped up by Jake Lloyd. And we'll have a ball up inside attacking 50 for Gold Coast. Swans lead by 15.
Up in the air it goes. Witts down to Flanders. Kick was smothered. Rowell extracts it now. Tries the tackle of Fox. Witts goes again. High kick goes straight up. Missed Anderson. Missed Dylan Stevens. Clean bowled Rowbottom. In comes Humphrey. Hand pass back here. Another kick. Anderson snap. Desperate act from Rowbottom it was, who dives in. And that will be a ball up. 40 out from Gold Coast goal. It remains a 15-point lead the way of the Swans. By the way, around the grounds at Docklands, approaching three-quarter time. Essendon in front, 9-4-58. North Melbourne, 8-3-51. Umpire throws it up here at the SCG. One away by the Swans and Rowbottom. Kicks towards left half-back. Goulden a race on foot, beats Mac Andrew. Turns, gets away from a jinking run there on Mac Andrew. And bounce up to the wing. Snatched away by Jai Farah. Worked all the way back to Ballard.
Ballard dances around a couple of tackles. And now to Jai Farah again. He was clever and composed in guiding it to Ellis. He'll chip it forward to Swallow. This is how the Suns controlled the game in the first half. Was happy to chip it forward of centre. Frustrate Sydney. Now Swallow goes long to half forward. Humphrey has front position. Jake Lloyd does well to read it off the contest, and he was dumped, Jake Lloyd, by Humphrey, and the Swans players remonstrate as a result. Florent and Fox with the push and shove on the Suns youngster. Boundary throw in just outside 50 for Gold Coast.
Sydney by 15, 24 gone third term. Back in it comes. Hickey wants it down only as far as Rowell. Accelerates away from the pack. Rowbottom gets him down. Dispossesses him. It'll be a Swans ball, just thought of left half back. Nice work from James Rowbottom as ever. Plays off the hand pass. Robbie Fox bursts by. Goes searching inside forward 50 here for the Swans. Out to a 2-on-1. Collins floats up in front of Haywood. It's going to be a free kick for a block. Sydney free kick, and Will Haywood will go back from 30 out with a chance for his fourth. So the Swans just starting to take the game away here from the Suns as we approach three-quarter time.
It was a good hit, wasn't it? Yeah. Rowbottom. And
Real good.
He was the one, he smothered that ball inside 50 as well, so he set the tone around the contest, got the ball moving forward for the Swans.
He's a pressure player. It's a pressure game for the Swans. And Will Haywood can alleviate some of that pressure here and put them out to just about a 4-goal margin. On the approach, set shot from 30. He doesn't let them down. 4 goals for Will Haywood. Out to a 21-point lead here, the Swans. 15-2-92. Gold Coast 11-5-71. Just quickly as well, as far as Collingwood are concerned, they've confirmed Darcy Moore will miss the rest of the home and away season with a hammy, which we suspected. We usually give you team news from the Twilight AFL game, but team news from Lang Park in Brisbane, where Tony Gustafsson made an unchanged starting 11 for tonight's quarter-final, and Sam Kerr again to come off the bench there. So, of course, coverage from 4:30 on News Radio just about everywhere, otherwise on the ABC Listen app. In the meantime, though, the Swans by 21 points are experts, Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfield.
Yeah, so it's over to the Suns now, isn't it? They haven't been able to get their game going in the first half like they had in the first half. Miller now goes to Errol in the centre square, so they've got to respond here, and they've got to respond pretty quickly.
Swans lead by 21. Two of the hardest nuts in the game, James Rowbottom and Matt Rowell, with a wonderful contest before, and Matt Rowbottom hit on Rowell, allowed the Swans to go forward, and Will Haywood to kick his 4th goal of the afternoon. They've been challenged, the Swans. They are far from out of the woods yet. Late stages of the third term. They have a nice buffer. Rowell wins it again. He's been brilliant. Kick inside 50. Blakey punches it away, but into a dangerous area. Well done by McCartan to get to it first. Miller, though, gathers it for Gold Coast. Now back to Rowell, getting plenty of the footy. A kick deep towards goal. Days wrestling with Francis. Humphrey gathers it. Well tackled by Warner. Ball spills over for a rush behind. Matt Rowell up to 21 possessions now. 14 of those contested. The Swans lead by 20 points.
Blakey has a habit of sprawling to the corridor. Does it a fair bit.
Florent to kick out beyond defensive 50. Chooses the outer side. Heaney was shoved out of it down there. It will be a free kick going his way. It's Lemons, though, who's sort of writhing in pain. It will be a Sydney ball from right half back. 27 gone. They've been long quarters so far today. 20 points is Sydney's lead. Heaney plays on. Buys some more room. Up the outer side he comes. McLean in from behind down there on Collins. And Ainsworth tracks it towards the boundary line. Throw in.
Swans lead by 20. Chad Warner leads all possession getters on the ground with 22. Matt Rowell with 21 for the Suns. Witts wins front position. Punches it forward to the wing. Holman controls it down. To Rowell is well tackled. And the umpire says he got the handball free as Ainsworth gathered it over the boundary line. So he isn't ping holding the ball, Matt Rowell, who is fighting away for Gold Coast.
Yeah, they're going to have to look at something different here, aren't they? They're a bit stagnant going forward. They're going to find another answer. They've been hanging in it to this point, but just getting caught up around that half-forward line.
Back in it comes. McLean lays it down. Heaney and Ainsworth again run toward the boundary line. Throw in again. Wing and half forward, and Sydney's attacking half.
Inside 50 is now in favour of Sydney, I think for the first time in the game, 38-37.
Scoreline reads 20 in their favour. Margin at least. Heaney down to Papley. The pocket, high ball toward the goal square. Can you finish that off, Tom Papley? You bet he can.
That bounced over the line.
They'll check this, but he's reasonably confident. Conference between umpire. That was 60 metres out. That was unbelievable from Tom Papley.
Just kept going.
Kept going, kept going. Oh, I reckon Ballard just gets there.
I apologise. It looked like it bounced over the line. It didn't. It bounced just in.
Oh, well, I wasn't sure, but your reaction, Garb, convinced me.
It looked from my angle like it did, but
no VAR for Garby. It'll be just 1 point here once they formalise all of this. Ballard gets a fingertip to it and then sort of toes it over the right on the goal line anyway, so it will be a minor score. And 21 points is the Sydney Swans lead. Confirmation point as we approach three-quarter time here. By the way, three-quarter time at Docklands, Essendon 10-4-64, North Melbourne 9-3-57.
Swans in control now of this third term. The Suns need to get going if they are to emerge with an unlikely victory. Atkins' kick is well marked by Hayden McLean. He's been effective when moved into the ruck. In his 50th game, Hayden McLean. Marks just forward at the wing. Now kicks long into attack, and Marty leaps off hands, gathered well by Heaney. And Rowell puts a tackle on him. Three Swans gravitate towards Rowell and wrap him up. Ball up inside attacking 50 for Sydney.
Umpire gets them set. And Marty and Witts. Overrun though by Parker. And it's a rolling ball. Witts tries again. Farah held there by Wicks. Hagel goes to the outside of the boot. Gathered on the goal line here again by Ballard. Runs into trouble. The umpire says play on. Brought down as well was Farah. Lemons can clear desperately here for the Gold Coast Suns. High ball toward the pocket. Cunningham makes a contest on Roses and neutralises that for a stoppage. Inside 50 again the Swans, who lead by 21 points, 31 gone third term.
Looks like Cunningham's been moved onto Roses.
Yep.
He was cutting the Swans up. Isaac Heaney has been maintained a bit by the Suns' defence after starting the game in a blaze of glory. Still effective though. Miller, his handball is straight to Callum Mills, who snaps on goal and misses to the narrow side. Through for a behind. So the Swans peppering away. They are 15-4-94. Gold Coast 11-6-72. Sydney lead by 22 points.
They just can't get their hands on the footy. Swans' possession rate's up high. This is the problem here from the kick-ins. They've been able to hold it inside 50.
Atkins does kick out beyond offensive 50 here to, or just about to McPherson. Lays it off by hand to Atkins running by. The former Crow. He's good against his former side last week to the outer side. Missed Fox. Here comes Cheetahs for the Suns. Now they go forward again through Flanders. High ball inside 50. Out the back, Casbolt competes with McCartan. It bounces him in the pocket. And out of bounds for a throw-in. So quick coast to coast from the Suns. And we're down by 22 points, but they can muster one more perhaps you'd think before three-quarter time. Keep themselves alive.
This is where they can score. I'll say this is an opportunity.
They've been good from these situations this afternoon, mainly because Jared Witts is so effective in the ruck. He grabs it out of the ruck, but then loses the handle. And Robbie Fox can clear from defensive 50. Collins launches and tries to guard it down. Got it down to Lemons. Heaney gathers it. Jai Farah swoops at it just outside attacking 50 for Gold Coast. With his left, kicks to a dangerous spot. Coming out, crashing the pack. Here's Casbolt. He's taking out 3 players with him. Like a bowling ball on the pins. They're all lying down scattered. After Levi's work, they'll have a ball up inside attacking 50.
Up it goes. Witts swats it to the outside. Sheeta slays the tackle on Parker, and again the umpire says, give it to me.
That would not be a fun feeling, having Levi Casbolt charge into the back of you.
Out it comes. Rowell lays the tackle this time on Parker. Another stoppage. Ball in the air. Witts down here. Anderson just it's the volley across the face of goal. Goes out of bounds for a throw-in.
I remember watching our special comments teammate here, Joel Paffel, going back with the flight when I was coaching, and didn't end well for you, did it, mate?
Which one?
Bad day. The one at the MCG. The one at the MCG.
Who was that crashed into you?
Who was it that day?
Matty Bunton.
That's right. Straight to hospital, weren't you?
Dylan Stevens with a handball. And now Goulden with a clearing kick, but only as far as Collins. You can put Gold Coast deep into attack. They need a goal desperately off the hands of the pack. Cetus is there. Now Witts, the big man, gets it out to Holman. And he's pinged for a throw with Jared Witts. Free kick to Nick Blakey deep in defence. So how much damage did that do? Joel Patfull, the hit from Bunton.
Actually, a couple of broken ribs and a punctured lung that time. So probably one of the worst injuries I had, which wasn't enjoyable.
Very brave. I remember it.
Blakey plays on, hand pass to Cunningham. The Swans come members side of the SCG. Hayward bounced off his chest, down to Wicks, hand pass to Chad Warner. Out in open space, Parker waits for the bounce. Coming in though was Anderson for the Suns. It's first hands to it. Sydney leads by 22 points here. Anderson's kick comes back down the line towards half forward. Blakey and Witts go up. At the drop, Goulden pulls it across his body. Again at Anderson's throat. Suns get it back. On the entry now for Gold Coast. Pulls the kick a little too short. Goes to Florent on the bounce. His kick was followed by Ellis. Ellis retrieves it. Arrives to Warner. He gives a nudge. Keeps possession off to Parker. And now run down from behind was Wicks by Ellis. On the loose ball, Parker. He goes again. Wobbly high ball. Papley competes with Ballard through the air. At the drop of Marty. And now Papley is goal side, though a long way from home. Has a bounce on the wing. Goes inside forward 50 and the clock beats them. Three-quarter time here at the SCG. That third term went 35 minutes. There's no chance we get them Tildas on time. 15-4-94. Gold Coast 11-6, 72. 22 points is the Sydney Swans lead. Goal kickers in this game so far. Firstly, I'll start with the Swans, who lead, as I say, by 22 points. Hayward has 4, Little has 3, McLean and Heaney each with a couple. Singles to Papley, Amati, Rowbottom and Warner. Meanwhile, for Gold Coast Suns, Rosas has 3 pretty impressive goals. A couple for Lukosius, singles to Casbolt, Holman, Anderson, Ellis, Flanders and Tuke Miller. The home side by 22 points here at the SCG on ABC Radio, News Radio and the ABC Listen app. You're listening to Grandstand AFL.
What's the best thing in the world that's also on the ABC Listen app? The footy! This season, get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
She's got it! Bye-bye! See you later!
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sports expert commentary team. AFL and NRL, live and ad-free. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Parker, hands and knees, gets the handball clear to Rowbottom, and he spots up Papley inside 50. Clever kick to put Sydney back in front. He has done that. Hand up, fist pumps, and high fives all round. Tom Papley's on the board.
stoppage. Down to Warner, who snaps on his left boot, and it's through! Revs up the crowd as well. In comes the Chad.
Handball inside to Rowbottom. Gets it back to Papley. Kick from outside 50. McDonald has marked it. Strong overhead. That was rapid from the Swans out of the middle of the ground. He's done that. Sydney are charging in the third quarter.
Robbie Fox bursts by. Goes searching inside forward 50 here for the Swans. Out to a 2-on-1. Collins floats up in front of Haywood. It's going to be a free kick for a block. Sydney free kick, and Will Haywood will go back from 30 out with a chance for his fourth, with just about a 4-goal margin. On the approach, set shot from 30. He doesn't let them down. 4 goals for Will Haywood.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital,
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Equal time at the SCG. It's the Swans by 22 points over the Gold Coast Suns. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Declan Byrne on the boundary, and our experts are Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfull.
Yeah, well, they got their game going, the Swans, didn't they? In that quarter, they were good out of the centre square and efficient going forward. 15 goals, 4 they are now. They're 15-2 when Papley missed that. So they've been kicking very accurately. I think it was 11 or 12 straight. Last week wasn't as well. So whatever they're doing inside 50, they need to keep doing. But off the back of some good contested footy, I thought Rowbottom was important there, like we said. A few key smothers, turnovers, tackles. Really got the ball going their way. But the Suns are hanging in there. There's still a chance, 20 points. Still a long way to go, Spike.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'd always thought, I think we all agreed that, you know, if the Swans could just eventually break them down with, they're obviously the better team. What have the Suns got left in them? That's what we need to see. I reckon they went back to kicking long down the line. They didn't take the ball on as much as probably what we see in the first half. They probably reverted back to the safe option, which tends to happen with teams that are up and coming, and obviously they're a little bit wayward at the moment. But I think the Sydney Swans, they really need to make sure that they finish this quarter really well. They've got to get it inside 50 really quickly. I reckon they can put 6 goals on them here and really take it out.
Well, they can, but the Suns are dangerous because, like you said, there's nothing to lose. It's flat chat. They want to move the ball quickly, go through the middle, and you never know what can happen.
Errol Goulden got off the chain a little bit in that quarter. He had 7 touches in the third term for 13 all up as Gold Coast just released the tag Shackles a touch. Chad Warner leads the way, though, with 24 possessions. Only going at 17% efficiency, but he kicked a beautiful goal in that third quarter. 13 of those touches are contested. Papley has 17, doing a lot of damage in the middle of the ground. Rowbottom's been brilliant. 17 possessions, 6 tackles, 5 clearances, 6 score involvements and a goal. Blakey with 16 possessions. Heaney was damaging early. He has 16 touches, 10 of those contested. 8 score involvements for Isaac Heaney in a couple of majors. Matt Rowell has been the busiest for Gold Coast with 22 possessions. Tuke Miller, 19 after being removed off Errol Goulden as the tagger for a period of that quarter. Anderson, 18. Sam Flanders has 17. Malcolm Roses with 3 goals for the Suns.
The sub was made in that third term as well for the Gold Coast Suns. Elijah Holland subbed out, just as he was last week too. So 2 weeks in a row, Elijah Holland subbed out for James Cheetahs, who's been playing in the last quarter for the Gold Coast Suns. Listen carefully. If listening through New South Wales and Queensland News Radio, we're off to the World Cup coverage at 4:35, so a few minutes later than scheduled due to our somewhat late finish here, we predict, of course, Australia v France in the World Cup quarter-final at Lang Park. Brisbane News Radio off to the Brisbane Lions and the Adelaide Crows, the next AFL game. And if you're listening through local radio, ACT and Gold Coast, you're off to what's left of South Sydney and St George Illawarra in the NRL. So all going different directions there. Of course, you want to find the World Cup coverage uninterrupted. It's on the ABC Listen app. Just look for our green and gold World Cup button. Meanwhile, 4th term underway at Docklands. Tight game there. Essendon 10-6-66 leads North Melbourne 10-3-63. Could there be an upset there in a somewhat low-scoring game? But here the Swans have found their groove in the third term and lead the Gold Coast Suns by 22 points. Into the final term we go, and the bright sunshine here in the Harbour City. Can Gold Coast hit back? Otherwise, it's officially season done as of this afternoon. Witts tries hard in the ruck. Papley had a path cleared for him. McPherson for the Suns gets it forward here. Off the deck, Atkins to Humphrey, who fires on goal from 52. Bailey Humphrey, it's offline, and it's in fact marked by Blakey. alongside the behind post, and no change to our three-quarter time score.
Be good in defence yet again, Nick Blakey. Short to Lloyd, getting plenty of the ball as per usual. Now up to the wing. Heaney can take the mark. Suns win it back. McPherson's high ball to half forward, punched away from Cheetahs by Lloyd. Parker's handball was back into danger. Cunningham is well tackled. Umpire allowed play to go on. Just outside half back for the Swans. Roses tackled as he's about to dispose of the football, and then Goulden wraps up McPherson with a strong tackle. So another ball up. We've had plenty of them on the outer side on that wing. Swans lead by 22 points, a minute gone in the last term.
The stoppage. Still not going anywhere, moving away from that part of the flank. Goodall again. On the air, Witts knocks it to the outside. Florent there first for the Swans. Left half back. Uses the corridor now for Patley, who marks. The game has slowed significantly in the last sort of 15 minutes or so. Sort of across the half back line now for Blakey. Certainly good in the first half, Nick Blakey. Off to McCartan. Room to bounce. Awkward hand pass there for Mills in the shadows of the grandstand. First pair of hands to it was Ainsworth. Allowed Casbolt to come through. Mac Andrew run down by Rowbottom. On the loose ball. Picked up here by Day. Little 1-2 McPherson. Awkward pick up for Day. All the way back to Lemons, whose kick is offline and finds the chest of Tom McCartan. The Swans can go again from right half back, and they lead by 22 points.
Always worrying Tom McCartan runs past for a handball receive. I don't reckon that's in his repertoire.
Rowbottom's up to 7 tackles for the game. He needs 18 more, only 11 more now to break the single season record for the Swans. So he's well on track to doing that. The current record is 170, held by Luke Parker, who had the ball in his possession a moment ago, and Brett Kirk. Blakey, who plays his 100th game next week, tried to break through an Ainsworth tackle. The Swans do win it back eventually. Through Luke Parker, after getting it from Goulden, kick to half forward, punched away from Heaney by Mac Andrew. Miller does well to hold his ground and his feet and burst away from half back. Now they play quickly to Flanders, had to watch out though. Got away from the Stevens tackle at Flanders and got it to Brandon Ellis. His kick though is over the head of Roses. Somehow the Swans win it back. Lukosius is able to guide one towards goal, off hands through for a rush behind. The Swans should have cleared that. Suns won it back. And Lukosius' effort is carried over for a solitary point. Swans lead by 22 points.
Good effort there from Tommy McCartan, going back with the flight to get a hand on that. Lukosius probably pulled his kick a little. Wasn't sure he could make the distance.
He drives these kicks like a low four-iron. I mean, he chisels them 50 metres flat.
Blakey kicks out. Swans by 21, goes beyond defensive 50. On the half volley, it was awkward for Ellis. Missed him. Hayward for the Swans to Mills. Co-captain works it outside here. Stevens under pressure. He's brought the ground down there outside by Anderson. And that's Ballard out there who was all over him. So we'll throw it up again on the O'Reilly wing of the SCG. 4 minutes played, final term. 21 points is the home side's lead. Witts competes with Hickey. Down there to Goulden. Lost his footing. Got the ball away to Parker though. Veteran goes forward of halfway. Inside 50. Hayward again, sockers it out of the air. Heaney out to meet the football now, dispossessed by Collins. Mac Andrews gets responded again by Rowbottom. Still alive here, although the Suns have numbers. A little kick comes to Cheetahs from half back, and now his kick to Sam Day, middle of the SCG. And he looks at the options, off a couple of steps. Best he can do is Aaron Francis, who intercepts, in fact spills the mark and plays on. Either way, the Swans keep possession as it comes high towards McLean at right half back.
McLean has Warner on the wing, spots him up, possession number 25 for the Swans Dynamo now. Chips it to Lloyd. Swans happy to play it slow with a 21-point lead. Wicks comes off the bench and marks it straight away. Smack bang on the wing. And they'll just chip it around the Swans. They've got the lead. They're happy to control it. Wicks goes laterally and finds Harry Cunningham. He was frozen out of the team last season, Harry Cunningham, but hasn't missed a game in 2023.
Here's Roberts. First game since round 6 for him. Plays on for the Swans. High inside 50. Hickey couldn't control it. Was low for him. Parker's hand pass picked off by Humphrey. The Suns are away through Miller. accelerates away. His kick, though, will work out okay in the end for Casbolt at left half forward. 65 from goal. Who's back there? Sets it high and long down there for Lukosius. And in the goal square, it bounces through from one, a score. Blakey got first pair of hands on that. It is just the 1 point to the Gold Coast Suns. Margin 20 points the Swans way. 15-4-94, plays 11-8-74. 6 gone, final turn.
He's done well on Lukosius, Nick Blakey, hasn't he?
Yeah.
After Lukosius kicked a couple early.
It's a disappointing decision by Caswell. The wrong option to go long. He had a couple of players on short.
Stevens guides it up the wing to Cunningham, but
seen a few of those today.
I think they're losing it in the sun, so there's still a glare across this ground, and Harry Cunningham just lost track of the football off his hands over the boundary line for a throw-in. It's the Swans who lead by 20, though. They were challenged early in this game. They've still got work to do to secure the 4 points and a 5th win in a row, but they have responded well after half-time.
Back in it comes. Out of here by Humphrey. Fires the hand pass back to Farah. Patley's all over him. Still has the ball. No, it's holding the ball. Late call from the umpire, but Patley's tackle is rewarded. We'll swing it across the members' side. Mark by McDonald takes the chest mark. He's 65 from goal. Options are plenty inside 50. Look out for Malcolm Roses. He couldn't smell the roses. Been picked up here by Warner. 45. Andrew runs him down. What are you guys doing? Talk to each other. So we've seen 3 blindside tackles going either way, and the Suns get the ball back. That was Mac Andrew across here to Ellis, and they'll work it up the outer side now for Farah.
It's not as if the crowd is making a noise that they can't hear voices out there, or footsteps. That was a bizarre but humorous passage of play. Eventually the Suns gather it through Flanders, goes short to Brandon Ellis on the outer wing. Sun is straight into his eyes, a 2-time Richmond Premiership player. So he lowers them, finds the sub in Cheetahs. Swans lead by 20 points, 7.5 gone in the last. Gold Coast need to get going. Casbolt does well to make a contest. Humphrey roves just inside attacking 50. But it's not easy to break Callum Mills' tackle, and he wraps him up half forward.
It just reeks of 2 teams going through the motions,
doesn't it?
Like, it's just one of those games. Very tough, hard to win sometimes.
Roberts out of it now. It comes to Mills across his body. Work out okay for Amati. Tumbles to ground, takes the mark in front of Ballard. Amati at left half back for the Swans, who lead by 20 points. Up the outer side it goes. McLean seems to be outnumbered. Good spoil from behind by Collins. Lukosius, a little the SCG. Ball around McDonald now goes back to the outer wing. There it is, marked by Ballard. Makes it 100 gamer. Charlie Ballard across here for Collins. And they'll switch. Oh, in fact, he comes down the corridor. But missed Lukosius. Ends up with Warner. The Swans go forward again. Patley back with the flight, beaten by Mac Andrew. Good vision by the Gold Coast defender, who comes beyond defensive 50 now for Swallow.
He's going to be a pleasure to watch, Mac Andrew, for a number of years. Just moves beautifully. Judged the ball well, marked inside defensive 50. Anderson kicks to a contest and over the head of Brandon Ellis, but Humphrey is there, had his pants pulled down, but was able to get the handball back to Brandon Ellis at centre half forward, finds Casbolt on a lead. Did that well, the Suns. And the call comes out to slow things down and let Levi kick from 50 metres directly in front.
Well, they did it well, but you're right, Spike. They're going through the motions a bit here, the Swans. Yeah. And it's going to show us a bit of where they're at, I think, over the next 20 minutes. If they can kick away and win by 6 to 8 goals, it shows that they're in the right headspace, but it just doesn't seem like they're 100% switched on today, does it?
No, you're exactly right.
Casbolt will strike this from the paint of 50, looking for his second goal. It is just drawing ever so slightly and through for a behind. So Sydney still needs to be careful. They've still got work to do. Gold Coast aren't going away. The Swans' lead is 19 points, 10 minutes gone in the last quarter.
2 make it 3 bounces for Blakey from the kick out. Runs himself beyond defensive 50 to the outer side now. Out in space, Ballard slaps it back over his head with a Marty for company. Anderson toes it forward now for Ellis. He was wrapped up by Stevens. Wicks can hack it forward here for the Swans into about row 5. Out of bounds on the full. It's a Gold Coast ball at right half-back. Meanwhile, at Docklands, time on final term there. Essendon leads North Melbourne by 16 points. It keeps their slim top 8 chances alive, but they've been pushed by West Coast and now North Melbourne have the Bombers, so don't like their chances overall. As the Suns just chip it away here. Atkins balls his kick infield for Ellis, the former Tiger.
Repeating, Sam Kerr on the bench again for the Matildas. We'll take you there at the completion of this game. Gold Coast go deep into attack. Big hit on Lloyd from Holman, and now finding space is Ainsworth with the snap-on goal. And missing to the near side. So Gold Coast challenging the Swans. The margin is back to a clean 3 goals in favour of Sydney.
And Francis at fullback. Receives it from Blakey, gives it back off by hand to Blakey, who can chip it beyond defensive 50 for Matt Roberts. Now infield for Goulden. Possession number 15 coming up for him. Good tag from Tuke Miller earlier. Back to Roberts. Laterally here now for Lloyd. Called to get moving. Another short chip to Fox. Swans by a clean 3 goals. As they go inside 50 through Florent. High ball. Great defensive grab from Collins. There's plenty of contact coming the other way. In fact, it's going to be a block. The free kick going the Swans' way. That explains why the mark was a bit too easy for him, as Amati will take the set shot from 35, make it 40 out, slight angle to the right of centre.
Just watch on the replay.
Yeah, it's
probably there, isn't it?
Back
probably there.
It's a tough call, that one, isn't it? Because if he lets him run and jump, he's going to, take the mark. Or
he's just probably got to get in that position where you seal out a little bit better, don't you? Just get in between you, the ball, and the opponent.
The defenders despair at these kind of rules, don't they, Joel Patfull? As Joel Amati's on the approach here and just misses to the left-hand side. So we've had no goals in this final term yet, which is now 12.5 minutes old. 15-5-95 Sydney. Gold Coast 11-10-76. Margin 19. Still time left for the Gold Coast Suns.
And they'll go into an attacking position from the kick out from Atkins to try and get back into this game. Holman to Ainsworth. Now forward of centre they find Cheetahs. Swans trying to get numbers back in defence. Cheetahs looks for a lead and finds Lukosius. They are not done with yet, because when Jack Lukosius has the ball in his hands, a goal is pretty likely. He's looking for his 3rd and to peg this margin back to 13 points.
Well, he was patient, wasn't he? He knew the Swans were at 6s and 7s getting back. Just had to wait for the little tick lead. Wait for him to refill the forward line. Good play.
Jack Lukosius, picked 2 in the 2018 draft. One of the best disposers of the football by foot in the AFL. Looking for the 3rd goal of his afternoon. He has pulled this one, though. I've put the Moz on him. They needed that one desperately, Gold Coast. But they are challenging the Swans, who lead by 18 points, 13 minutes into the last quarter.
It was a big kick, wasn't it? If he'd put that one through, it would have made things interesting. But you're right, they're challenging here late, and this is what's so dangerous about these games when you don't put them away earlier. Anything can happen in the next 10, 15 minutes, and the Swans just can't get their game going, and they can't kick those 2 goals to just put them away.
Now, Robbie Fox played on here out of bounds. That was
run out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, after last night, where they failed to spot it, close to Cameron handball, they've spotted that one.
Yes, and there was an admission this morning that it was umpire error on that no out of bounds call last night. By the way, margin back to 9 points after a Ben Cunnington goal in his last AFL game. So that's at Docklands. Essendon leads the Kangaroos by 9 points. 4.5 minutes left there. A bit more time left here remaining is from the stoppage. Humphrey to Ainsworth. Runs out of room. Throw in again at left half forward for the Gold Coast Suns. It's only 18 points, but it feels like so much more.
Yeah, it does.
They can still get the game back on their terms. Fight back here, the Gold Coast Suns. Casbolt in the ruck. And he gets as far as Wicks, who backs it forward. And Marty, hand pass off to Robert. His kick was smothered by Ainsworth. Tries hard here for Gold Coast. Kicks for distance, high inside, forward 50. Where's the marking target? Lukosius keeps his feet, takes on Francis. Francis lays the tackle on the follow-up now. Holman gets there on the loose ball. Bumped his own teammate there and Swallow. Now Parker, McCartan, and now Goulden can rebound for the Swans. It's Wicks who marks it right half back, and he's away.
A beautiful kick, Goulden. Spotted up Wicks. And now they move it to half forward. Hayward with the leap. 4 goals to his name today. Confidence is flowing through him, and he puts on a very good tackle with the second effort, along with Hickey on Atkins. They wrap it up at half forward, the Swans. They enjoy an 18-point lead 15 minutes into the last term. Quick ball up, Kaz Bolden, Hickey. Hickey palms it down, Tuke Miller. Goulden evades him. Miller had the shackles on Goulden early. Goulden's starting to influence the game. Handball back to McCartan. Now a high ball to half forward. McLean times his leap well in his 50th game and marks overhead.
He's 65 from goal here for the Swans. Content with a short chip pass to Errol Goulden. Plays on around Anderson. High ball toward goal. Right to the goal line now. Mac Andrew forces a spoil. McDonald it's through for a minor score. Swans by 19 points. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Ryan Clark about to be subbed into the game for the Swans. I think Armadi is coming off.
By the way, a goal to Eddie Ford at Docklands. It's now a 3-point game. Essendon leads North Melbourne. Back underway here.
And the Suns go straight down the corridor. And Nick Blakey marks strongly. Lukosius was damaging early for Gold Coast. Nick Blakey was moved on to him. That's an excellent contested mark. Guides it forward to Jake Lloyd. 70 out from the Swans' goals. Lloyd, possession number 22 coming up for him. He'll just pop it up to a dangerous spot inside 50. Heaney leaps, punched away from him by Mac Andrew. Papley with the handball back to Roberts, looking for his first AFL goal. Matt Roberts, he has got it. Oh, watch them swarm to him. In just his 6th game, Matt Roberts kicks his first AFL goal. And that might just be the sealer for the Swans. Their lead now out to 25 points.
Yeah, good young player, doing the hard yards at VFL level. They rate him very highly. He works hard on his craft. Just one other thing with Amadi, he gets subbed out a lot, I reckon. And, you know, he's got to find that way where he gets that fitness levels at AFL level.
Down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, he's come off a couple of times this game and just quiet conversations with the doctor. I think about that hamstring, which he's had trouble with throughout his whole career and again today. So I think it's cautious. Didn't look like he had an incident, but yeah, definitely being cautious with his hammies.
Does look in some discomfort down there, Declan. Good spot. 25 points is the Swans' lead. 17 and a half gone here. This might be a long quarter, this one, given the lack of goals in the first half of it. Meanwhile, 2.5 minutes left at Docklands. Essendon leads North Melbourne by 3 points. Free kick for a 666 infraction going the way of the Swans. Inside 50 they go. At the drop, Heaney. Swallow coming the other way. Heaney off here to Parker, who tumbles it towards goal now, and it's off target for a throw-in.
Just drifted out of the game, Isaac Heaney, hasn't he, in the second half? Just hasn't shown that zip that he had in the first half.
Kicked their first 2 goals of the afternoon.
Swans look like they will secure a 5th straight victory. McLean down to Papley. High ball inside 50 and straight up in the air. Papley will gather it again. And kick 40 metres backwards, looking for Harry Cunningham and finding him. Well, that was smart from Papley. He's kicked it all the way out of his own defensive, attacking 50, just about. And Harry Cunningham came up to mark it. Kicked just 2 goals this season, Harry Cunningham. And this would most certainly put the game to bed for the Swans. And the quiet achievers for Sydney, Harry Cunningham. He was a forgotten man last season. Missed the run to the grand final. He's been consistent in 2023. And he's kicked a very big goal for the Sydney Swans, the 51st of his career, and one that will lock away a 5th straight win. We're going to have a review. The goal umpire was collected as the players converged on the goal line, but the Swans players are certain that it crossed the line, and the replay tells us it did by some margin. So the Swans lead is out to 31 points, and a 5th straight win for John Longmire's side can be chalked down.
Yeah, they've done what they've had to do today. It hasn't been pretty at times, but they've, it's been a bit of a hoodoo game for them, really. Yeah. So to get the result, at the end of the day, they would be very happy with how they've gone about it. I'm sorry, with the result, but how they've gone about it, probably not so much. But to get over the line in a tough game, they'd be very pleased with.
3,911 is the crowd, by the way.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about It's you get these games during the year, don't you? When you're clearly the favourite, they probably should beat them, and you sometimes just grind out a win on you. So it's a good result for them. They're in good form. Amadi's a bit of a worry for me. That's if there's any sort of significance with that injury, it's a massive blow going into finals for them.
Oh, by the way, a goal to Archie Perkins at Docklands means there are 35 seconds left. Essendon leads by 9 points there. Your old side, Spike. Good win coming up for them, albeit against a lowly opponent in North Melbourne.
Shimboners, they always lift for those games.
Back in the restart here at the SCG. Rowell beaten to it by Parker. Swans captain follows up. High spiralling ball inside forward 50. In front, Ballard to intercept. Lemons on the loose ball brought to ground by McDonald. The umpire will let them play, and now ball up 15 out from goal at the Randwick end.
It's one of those games, Garb, where you go, who's the most dominant player on the field? And I know Hayward's kicked 4, but it's pretty even. No one's really stood out.
Rowbottom's been really effective for the Swans. Rowell's been excellent for Gold Coast. But now the margin's out to 31 points in favour of Sydney. As Tom Hickey marks it at half forward. In a big battle with Jared Witts. Perhaps been outwitted at times, Tom Hickey. That was a good grab. High ball inside 50. His opposing ruckman made the contest. McDonald snatched it away from him though. Collins to Atkins. The Suns try and get some run out of defensive 50. Roses has been a bright spark. Handball inside to Miller. Sold him into trouble though. And now the Swans can win it back. Mills on hands and knees. Handball's backwards. Stevens is there. His handball back to Mills. He's tackled by Rowell.
It's that unpredictable ball movement from the opposition as well that can bring you into that game style and playing chaotic and not really getting your game going the way you want it to.
Rowell stopped by Clark, runs into Witts, ball comes free, gathered by Warner for the Swans. Tumbles a kick inside 50. Unkind bounce in the second half volley there for Ballard. Papley provides some pressure inside 50. Hayward hits the deck. Papley goes again. Brought to ground by Ballard. Clean hands from Clark to Warner, who snaps and it bounces on the goal line through for another major. That's Warner's second. Party time for the Swans, with 2 massive games to come. The Crows next week and Melbourne back here at the SCG. And if they can win at least one of those, they'll punch their ticket through one of the finals appearance under John Longmire. They're out here by 37 points.
He's a player that I really like to watch. I think he's just got that low centre of gravity, can power away from any heat that comes at him, and he's a good finisher. Like, he finishes well, either snap or goals on the run. He's building a nice game. 28 possessions and 2 goals. Probably been a little bit down with efficiency.
That's probably the issue.
Yeah.
15 contested disposals, 7 clearances, 7 inside 50.
I mean, he's a very, very talented player.
Errol Goulden was tagged early. Chad Warner has stepped up. But it's been an even contribution from the Swans, who were challenged by the Suns. They have prevailed though. Time ticking down. Ainsworth. And now Atkins tries to dart out of half-back. Handballs forward to Anderson. Just throws it on the boot quickly. It bounces up nicely for Humphrey. Flanders supports him. And he kicks to Sam Day. And this would be a nice moment. The game is gone for Gold Coast, but Sam Day is playing game 150. So he'll kick from a 45-degree angle just outside 50. An inaugural Sun. Pick 3 in the 2010 draft. He's playing Sydney for the first time since round 15, 2019. A goal in a milestone game would be great for him. Unfortunately, it won't eventuate. Just the 7 disposals for Sam Day in his 150th. And it's through for a behind. Swans lead by 36 points.
The ball's with Jake Lloyd. The grandstands have emptied. They've all gone to find their vantage point for the World Cup quarter-final, which will be here at the SCG on the big screen, but of course a few of the establishments off in Paddington might get a bit of a workaround. Surrey Hills, these inner city surrounding areas of Sydney. Short kick to Matt Roberts at left half-back. 33, just shy of 34,000 was the crowd here this afternoon. Off the deck from Lemons on the outer wing. Hayward tried to get it away. Hand pass goes to Atkins though. Busts the tackle of Hayward. Follows up with a neat kick to find the chest of Lukosius. on the eastern wing of the SCG. Plays on. Inside 50 he goes. Casbolt's outnumbered. Francis spills the intercept grab. Coming through hot was Rosas in the pocket. Meanwhile, Francis goes down. Get up to his feet slowly. Throw in at right half forward for the Gold Coast Suns. The Paddington end. It's the Swans who lead by 36 points.
Hit him in the head there, Francis.
Capley's had a big game as well for Sydney. 10 score involvements in his 24 disposals. And there's a free kick here. Inside attacking 50 for Gold Coast, but it's going the way of the Swans, and Hayden McLean. His 50th game will be marked with a victory. He goes short to Nick Blakey with a handball. Blakey drives the Swans up the outer side. Heaney with the lead, couldn't quite bring it down. And the Suns win it back through Rao. Rubbers the kick forward. Picked up by Bailey Humphrey. And he spots up Casbolt on the lead, marking in front of Francis.
Been quite good today, hasn't he, Casbolt? He's provided some spark, good hands, lead of the footy. Obviously, we know he hasn't been kicking for goal, but he's worked hard today for him.
The margin deserves to be a lot less than 36 points, which it is currently, based on the way Gold Coast has played this game. So Casbolt can peg it back to 30, looking for his second major of the afternoon. And he's found it. Deserves that, Levi Casbolt. Toiled away inside attacking 50. Marks on the lead and converts a 33-year-old. And Sydney are 18-6, 114. Gold Coast now 12-12, 84.
Yeah, he's been a good target for him. 2 goals now, 12 touches. Played a bit of a lone hand, taking some marks inside 50. Days been quite quiet there, but he's given at least a focal point to kick the footy to, provided the contest, and finished off nicely there. And another year, you reckon, Gub? He's going around?
Well, apparently agreement's been reached. A lot of people, as you said earlier, Spriggy, thought Levi Casbolt was done for when the Blues said we were letting you go, but he's found a home at Gold Coast and he's given them a target for a couple of seasons now inside 50.
Margin back to 30. The dying stages here. Witts puts it down to Rao. On the outside now, Flanders stops, props, comes back here. Position number 23 for him. Inside 50 and back to the fight. It's controlled by Cheetahs, who does take the mark 40 out, slightly left of centre. Earlier at Docklands, Essendon beat North Melbourne by 9 points, 13-8-86 to 12-5-77. Underway, Brisbane Adelaide at the Gabba shortly. We'll take you there for the opening bounce on News Radio in Brisbane. Otherwise, listening through News Radio New South Wales, off to the World Cup coverage, which starts in a few moments' time. And if listening to local radio, ACT and Gold Coast, off to the NRL, Rabbitohs v Dragons. Here's Cheetahs. Gets under this one. It's on its way. Flirts with the right-hand goal post, but sneaks in. So they've kicked a couple of goals in a hurry here, the Gold Coast Suns. Too little too late, though, in these final seconds. It's 24 points the Sydney Swans lead off the back of a goal to the sub in James Cheetahs for the Suns.
It'll be hard for John Longmire to surmise this game after, when he gets the players in the room. It'll be just one of those, geez, boys, worked hard, didn't play our best game. They obviously picked us apart a little bit with their ball movement in the first half. But it'll be one where I reckon they review pretty quickly, Jolie, and move on pretty quickly.
I think you'd move on pretty quickly from this one. There's not much to take out of it, but the only thing would be the fact they've been able to get a win.
Yeah.
Under a tough day, they've been a little bit off, 5-10% off, and that's all it takes sometimes. But still be able to grind a win, get them over the line, put them in finals contention. That's a positive result.
A 5th straight win, nonetheless.
Yeah.
And they were challenged in a big way this afternoon. The Gold Coast Suns, who have fought really hard. And they win it again in the middle of the ground. Rao to Witts. Stevens gathers it. Rao just doesn't stop working. Contest beast, Matt Rao. It's a free kick to Dylan Stevens. Time ticking down. He goes laterally to Ollie Florent. Swans lead is 24 points.
You got a feel for some of these Swans players, don't you? Like Matty Rao. Sorry, you go, Matt.
He's back to half back. And that'll be it. The Swans grind it out for a 5th straight win. And John Longmire has been returned to the top 8 for the first time since round 5, as they keep their September chances well and truly alive. Cheer, cheer the red and the white. the margin was 24 points. 4 goals for Hayward, 3 goals for McDonald, 2 for McLean, Warner and Heaney. Singles for Amadi, who was subbed out. Papley, Cunningham, Roberts and James Robert also on the board as well, while for the Gold Coast Suns, 3 for Roses, 2 each for Casbolt and Lacosia. Singles for Holman, Anderson, Flanders, Miller, Ellis and Cheetahs. It was the Suns by 5 points quarter time, 2 points at the half, 22 points. The Swans way at 3 quarter time. In the end, 24 points as the Sydney Swans win. Margin was as high as 37 points in that final term. Gold Coast kicked a couple of late goals to, I suppose, flatter the margin, flatter the result in the end, but did leave a bit to be desired for Stephen King and the Gold Coast Suns, who will officially miss the 8 this year. There was a slim chance that would not be the case, but it's all about the Sydney Swans, who, as I say, have won 5 in a row now. They win here by 24 points. We're off to the Matildas very shortly, or indeed on Brisbane News Radio to the Lions and the Crows. Otherwise, let's get the thoughts of our experts, Mark McVeigh and Joel Patfield.
Well, we just probably touched base on it. It was one of those games that the Swans needed to win, and it is 5 in a row. Gold Coast brought a good game plan, I thought. Really well done in that regard. They wanted to match him in the contest. They wanted to use the ball and get it inside 50 and hopefully score. They did that in the first half really effectively, but the Swans' class, the hardness, and probably the better team really won out in the end. Some of their stars stood up. Chad Warner was terrific with 28 possessions and 2 goals. Papley had a massive influence, and Hayward kicked 4. So in the end, I reckon it'll be a quick review, move on, well done. We're challenging still. We've got a great chance to be in the 8, and it's probably move on pretty quickly.
Well, they probably only played their style of footy for 20 minutes in the game, and that was enough to get the result. But that's all they needed at the end of the day. Like I said, the Gold Coast would be disappointed with that result. And I was just saying before, Matty Rowell and players like that to continue lose games has got to be hard for you. So hopefully there's something on the horizon there for the Suns that they can turn this around and turn around the atmosphere at the club and start to win some of these games when they're right in them and then they can't quite get themselves over the line. So they came here, effort, intensity from the start was great, but the Swans too good in the end. The talent, like he said, up forward, kicked a few goals and got them over the line.
So next week, the Swans are away to Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. That's Saturday night. And then Melbourne at the SCG in round 24, their final home game. In fact, their final home and away season game. And that will be huge, as I say, these next 2 games for the Swans to really find their place in the top 8 and stay there. While for the Gold Coast Suns, they're at home against Carlton next week. That's the Saturday Arvo game. And then they've got North Melbourne at Hobart in round 24. Righto, Spike, who gets your 3-2-1 Player of the Year, Football of the Year votes?
3 votes I'm going to give to Chad Warner, 28 possessions, 2 goals, 5 score involvements. I thought he was quite damaging. 2 votes I'm going to give to Tom Papley, kicked a goal. He had 10 score involvements, 24 possessions. Really, really good play. And I'm going to give 1 vote, and I'm going to say sorry to Matty Rowell, but I'm going to give 1 vote to Will Hayward with 4 goals.
Okay, 3 for Warner, 2 for Papley, and 1 to Will Hayward. Thanks, Garby. Enjoy tonight.
Thanks, boys. Love being with you this afternoon. Go the mighty Matilda.
Yes, that's underway in 25 minutes' time. So we'll get you there for that on, as I say, New South Wales News Radio and via the ABC Listen app. If you're listening through Brisbane News Radio, you'll get coverage of the Lions and the Crows, and you'll find Matilda's coverage on local radio in Brisbane on, what is it there? You lived there for a while. I'm trying to think of the 612, I reckon. 612 ABC Brisbane. Otherwise, listening through local radio, ACT and Gold Coast, off to the Rabbitohs and the Dragons in the NRL. So it's a sporting feast with most of the eyes, I'm sure, on the green and gold at Lang Park in Brisbane, that World Cup quarter-final. So that's what's still to come. The Swans are doing enough, aren't they, Joel Patfull? So 5 wins in a row. And you'd think they'd start favourites against the Crows next week, albeit being away. It's a hard one to pick, but win one of those games, that's 11.5, that's 12.5 wins at that point, and they'll be in the 8. They'll stay in the 8.
Yeah, I think they do go down as favourites, and like we said, they probably didn't play their best footy today, but they know their best is good enough to beat teams around the mark. I'd expect them to go down there pretty confident and bring that game style and really put it to the Crows down there. I'd expect them to get into the 8 and they can do a bit of damage, probably not based off today, but maybe off the 4 or 5 weeks before this, for sure.
We're done here. Thank you, Joel Patfull, as always. Thank you, Mark McVeigh.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks
really
for your
good.
efforts over the past few weeks. Yes, we're about to hand you off to the various other sports happening around the place. Of course, none more important than the Matildas World Cup quarter-final happening in Brisbane. Thanks to Daniel Garb. Thanks to Declan Byrne. We'll get the song shortly. If you're sticking around, we're going to have a bit of a buffer before we get to the NRL coverage. So we'll have 60 seconds. We might just get the Sydney Swans singing the song off the back of their 24-point win over the Gold Coast Suns. Otherwise, listeners through New South Wales News Radio off to the World Cup, or Brisbane News Radio off to the AFL, the Lions and the Crows, as round 22 continues. It's farewell from us here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. While we carry on, for those heading to the NRL in just a few moments' time, local radio ACT and Gold Coast off to the Rabbitohs and the Dragons. The current score there is late in the second half, South Sydney 20, St George Illawarra 14. Coming up as part of your NRL coverage later on tonight as well, it's West Tigers and the Warriors in Waikato, and the Roosters and the Dolphins to finish things off at the Sydney Football Stadium just next door to us here at the SCG. In the NRLW earlier today, it's a live score. In fact, the Broncos 16, Parramatta Eels 12. Earlier, Cowboys 16 beat West Tigers 12, and the Raiders 19 beat the Dragons 18. So for those who are sticking around, we will be able to hand you off to the NRL, but Declan Byrne, the Sydney Swans have made their way down into you.
Yes, they're making their way in slowly, but a big crew of supporters here giving him a clap. Part relief, but they have banked those 4 points. They are in the 8. And I know Dean Cox was tempering it before the game, saying they're just thinking about today, but now they must be thinking about finals with 2 games left. As the team circles up. And here they go.
.4 winners here today over the Gold Coast Suns. Thanks, Declan. Thanks to our technical coach, Darren, back in the studio as well. If you're listening to local radio ACT and Gold Coast, off to the NRL you go. Farewell.
Kick to come now.